Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We have dogs here that are trying to tear stuff up. Don't tear that up, Gatlin. Oh my gosh, you guys. Tonight's show is going to be the hottest show. You can't touch it. You cannot touch tonight's show. It is going to be off the chain. I cannot tell you. We've been waiting.
Yeah.
For 3.5 years for tonight's show.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ever since they started Trump-Russia collusion.
Yeah.
Okay? Trump, Russia, possible collusion. Trump, Russia, possible collusion. Trump, Russia, possible collusion. And now we know there was real collusion with presidential families and their sons. And it wasn't Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. And
yes,
oh my goodness.
What a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive. So I liked it the other way, but that's okay. I put it there on purpose. So, anyways, our friend Catherine's like, you guys stop touching each other on the show. I don't know if she said stop.
No, she said you're such sisters. I'm going to be sharing this on Facebook right now. You should
okay,
too.
so it feels like a week ago, but it was just two mornings ago.
2 days.
Wednesday morning.
And then yesterday happened, and there was more, and then today.
Okay, yeah, there's more today.
It just keeps getting better.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm gonna give you my rundown. Okay.
Run it down.
I wake up in the morning. I usually read my Bible first, but I check I don't know if I read my Bible or check my phone. I can't remember what it is.
I just went to Resistance Chicks Facebook on my cell phone, and all of a sudden our live video popped up. That's got to be a new feature, like in the little box right there.
Okay,
you should do that.
So, a New York Post article is shared all over Twitter. In the morning, it was loud, that said smoking gun emails.
Yes,
show Hunter Biden on. I don't know what the title is. Biden's secret emails revealed. Ukrainian executive thanked Hunter Biden for opportunity to meet the VP dad. Okay?
Yes.
That's just the tiny tip of the iceberg, okay? I have for you today something that Paul Sperry put together, Real Clear Politics, dating back to the very first job that Hunter Biden got out of college was for over $100,000, and it was a job on Wall Street with a donor from his dad's campaign where he had no experience in finances.
Yep.
And every single job Hunter has ever had has been tied back to Joe Biden, his dad. Okay? And here's the thing. In some cases, he's using government money, our tax dollars.
They used Air Force 2 to fly to China.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean,
well, here's the thing. In that meeting that they flew to China, Biden was supposed to get some things done, and he didn't get anything done.
Nope.
But Hunter Biden squared away a $1.4 billion deal with a Chinese banking firm, Chinese Communist Party banking firm, to where he's getting 2% every year.
Right.
$30 million, man. $30 million. Okay? There's so much more.
That's on top. Hang on. We like to just stick with, wow, he was getting $30 million a year. That's on top of what he was getting from all of these other places.
He really
was rolling in the dough.
He had him stacked. He just has an email to him.
He's getting money from Ukraine. He's getting money from China. He's getting money from Russia. Oh my goodness.
One of my favorite ones is that we're going to show you this for Rudy Giuliani because I'm going to tell you the province of how this all came about.
I shouldn't be so happy about someone's corruption.
You're happy it's being exposed.
Right. I'm not happy about the corruption.
No. But we knew it was there.
We knew it!
We're happy that it's out. It's out. Okay, if you pop a boil, you're happy it's out. If you know it's there, it's there.
I feel happier than that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to play a couple Tucker Carlson videos. His opening last night and the night before. Bombshells. I'm going to play you Wednesday nights first. And so one of them, he has a text message to his daughter in which
Hunter Biden.
And he's saying, all this stuff about family and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hopefully you can do kind of what I did.
Right.
I've supported the family all these years, but I won't take half like Pop, which is Grandpa.
Pop.
So
I won't take half of your money like Pop and taking half of my money.
Is on the take with all this stuff, half.
At
least that's what Hunter says.
Right.
We can't prove it. No. It's from the horse's mouth. All right, so let me start with the first New York Post slam article. Okay, then we're gonna go. So this is Ukraine. Then we're gonna cover China, and then we're gonna kind of work our way backwards. And then I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek because I know people are coming in.
Sneaky peeky.
So, one of Hunter Biden's business associates, who is actually in prison,
also good friend,
has flipped.
He flipped it.
And he has given up access to his Gmail account with all his emails
You give them
to
up.
Breitbart.
To Breitbart of all places, which makes me so happy. Please, there is a God and I do it.
So listen, I know this might be too much to ask.
It's getting hot in here.
But here's the thing. Sometimes just having a happy thought. Okay? My little happy thought. Because of all the corruption, if you guys didn't watch our Biden show explaining the corruption behind Joe Biden himself and how he touches little girls and presses them against this junk and sniffs women and does all kinds of crazy stuff. He is not a good person. Okay? So go watch our Friday show. And send it to all your friends. Send it to all your friends last Friday's show. Okay? Creepy Joe Biden.
Was that just Friday?
Yes, last Friday we did all that. We really just went and we played all the clips, everything you need to know in a nutshell about Joe Biden. Okay? Right. In a nutshell. So, but this is what makes it you can't be president, right? Because you can't be president if you've done it once, twice, 3 times in your whole career. You're selling U.S. access. Okay, you can't be president. And so, I have a little dream.
I had a dream.
And that dream is that people have to go out and take out their Biden signs out of their yard.
Part
before
of your dream,
the election.
Part of the dream was that they would walk out onto their yards and hang their heads in shame in order to pull out the sign from their yard.
Because he's not running anymore.
To hang their heads in shame. I had a dream.
That's my dream. That's like I'm really looking.
That all Biden supporters, black men and white men, again, I guess this is the best thing ever.
And my gut reaction is that it has to be Bernie. So will they have the guts to put out a Bernie sign? And if they do, I will party with you because I actually like Bernie supporters.
We don't like Bernie, but we like the supporters.
Right. They're anti-war. They're usually pretty chill.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of them, vote for Trump because Trump's anti-war. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot... when we did the last Trump rally we did in Cincinnati, the conversations you can have with a Tulsi, Yang Gang, Bernie supporter is just...
Very true. We
can discuss socialism versus capitalism, and then we can find some common ground because crony capitalism is really bad.
Yep.
And we don't want the factory farms and the CAFOs and big corporations and all that stuff. So we can find some really cool common ground with these people.
Yes.
So I would much rather be dealing with a Bernie side. I'd be oh, chill person, right?
Yeah.
So when I see Biden, I see Hillary person. I see, right? I see Bernie people. I feel like they're more laid back.
It's all the
more
marijuana.
Like hippie people, right? Okay, so here we go. Into the lion's den.
It could happen in this country, and yet today it did happen. A major American newspaper published a story, apparently an entirely accurate story, about a presidential candidate. The tech monopolies that control American media feared this story might hurt that candidate, whom they favor.
I forgot to tell you, I don't know why, that I believe it's the Holy Spirit and the Lord that allowed us to wait until today because... Ted Cruz came out and Josh Hawley came out. They are subpoenaing these big tech because big tech shut down the story. And the story...
Immediately. They put their chutzpah on it.
The story actually became... that they're shutting down the story.
No one would have really been talking about it if it were for the fact that they canned Kayleigh McEnany off of Twitter. I think she's back on now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jack on Twitter had to come out and say, well, our response wasn't exactly right, but, it wasn't really an apology. It wasn't that they said it. I mean, he wasn't really walking it back.
It took them 48 hours before they started to say, okay, you can share it.
We're going to rewrite our policy now that it's only if someone actually is the hacker, and we're all over here going, they weren't hacked.
Right.
If you aren't, is he going to explain?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to cover it. We'll just let Tucker say it.
Well, I'll explain it real quick. Okay, so Hunter Biden, crack cocaine addict, okay, drug addict. He's not all there. Drops his computer off, a MacBook Pro.
3 of them, right?
I thought it was just one.
Okay, was there just one? In the beginning, they were talking about 3 different laptops.
Just one.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
At a computer repair shop.
Yes.
He signs a piece of paper that says, if you don't come and get this after 90 days, because he can't
pay for it.
Because you can't have stuff stacked up, right?
Right.
It becomes my property.
My property.
That, you sign that away. You sign away your property. That's how this works.
I think that would be the only way that you could do any kind of business like that, where you drop something off for repair.
Yeah.
Because if people just leave stuff, they can't come back later and say, well, that was mine, but you never came back for it.
Exactly. So he opens it up. He's like, oh my gosh, I knew it was Hunter Biden. Okay, so it's his now. He can look through it.
Who is this
He hands it over.
guy? I love this.
And he's actually a half-blind guy, so he can't really see much. Isn't that hilarious? So he gives it to the FBI. The FBI doesn't do much, but he makes a copy of it. He takes the hard drive. He gives the hard drive to Rudy, and everybody blames it. Oh, this is the province of this is crazy because it went to Rudy Giuliani. Well, it's still the thing. Like, I don't care if it's a political rival. Like, it's still real.
Fact.
It's still facts.
There's no, like, Miranda rights that don't get read. Like, Hunter Biden didn't get his Miranda rights read, so the whole case is thrown out.
Exactly.
That's not how this works.
So if somebody says, hey, here's my phone, you can have my phone, and you still have stuff on it, that's the way that works. And now that's your property. You gave it away, right? You should have cleared it first. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. The story, the big story is, I believe Joe Biden's going to have to step down. Like, he's going to have to.
Let's break that down after. Let's listen to Tucker first, and then we'll break down what we think is going to happen.
So 3 weeks before a national election, they shut the whole thing down.
Shut it down.
They prevented the public from reading the news. They didn't apologize for doing this. They didn't bother to make up reasonable-sounding justifications for it.
Not in the beginning.
They just did it.
It was just gone.
Exactly as the Chinese government does. These are monopolies.
It was a knee-jerk reaction.
They have all the power. You have none. They don't have to carry it.
Elbow jerk reaction.
This was mass censorship on a scale that America has never experienced, not in 245 years. And it's a threat to all of us.
245, baby.
Democracies only function when there is a free exchange of information between citizens. We no longer have that. This is a dark moment. Here are the details. This morning, the New York Post published a series of emails that describe Hunter Biden's lucrative relationship with a Ukrainian energy company called Burisma.
Remember that.
And then describe how his father, then the Vice President of the United States, intervened to help his son peddle influence. Now, we've known the outlines of this story for quite some time, but these emails add damning detail.
Fill it in, baby.
No one appears to dispute that they're real, not even the Joe Biden campaign.
Holy cannoli.
You're hearing whispers tonight it's all part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Cannoli at the same
time. If this is a hoax,
I wish they weren't showing the shop. You can't see it because of the lighting,
but ever perpetrated.
Don't dox the shop.
It doesn't seem possible. There are too many. There's too much detail.
These
emails came from a laptop, an Apple laptop, that was dropped off at a Delaware computer repair shop last year and then abandoned there. After a certain number of days with no payment, the shop's owner took legal possession of the laptop. He looked inside. There were tens of thousands of emails, including exchanges with representatives of foreign companies and foreign governments. The laptop apparently belonged to Hunter Biden. The shop owner was stunned by this, by the appearance of corruption, and he was afraid for his family. So late last year, he gave the laptop to the FBI. He kept a copy of the hard drive for himself. But he never heard back from the FBI. By May, he was anxious, so he made overtures to Senator Mike Lee's office and at least one conservative nonprofit. He emailed their websites, but no one responded.
Nope.
Finally, the man contacted Rudy Giuliani's office, and today's story is the result of that.
Rudy said, bring it on, baby!
The monopolies instantly crushed it the moment it appeared. An executive at Facebook called Andy Stone, a former Democratic staffer, announced that his company would censor the New York Post story. As he put it, Facebook would be, quote, reducing its distribution on our platform. Twitter quickly followed suit by locking the New York Post's entire Twitter account. One of the biggest newspapers in the world banned from Twitter. Twitter then prevented its users from sharing the New York Post story, both privately and publicly. Those who tried to share it got this message, quote, your tweet couldn't be sent because this link has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially harmful. Harmful? In a separate explanation, Twitter wrote this, quote, we don't permit the use of our services to directly distribute content obtained through hacking that contains private information that may put people in physical harm or danger.
At that point, those pictures and those emails belonged to the computer guy.
Yes, there was no hacking.
His pictures. It was as if they were pictures of his own home or his own emails.
Right.
or contains
That's
trade
how
secrets.
that's how this possession thing works.
Sure.
You can hand over physical things. If somebody gives you a hammer, it's your hammer now.
Yes. The same Twitter that just
Yes.
promoted a New York Times story about the president's private tax returns, obviously obtained illegally. That Twitter. And who, by the way, was hacked here? No one was hacked.
No one was hacked.
Twitter never addressed that. As for, quote, trade secrets, there were none. We already knew that Hunter Biden was trading on his father's office to make 50 grand a month from the Ukrainians. In October, he admitted it.
You didn't have any extensive knowledge about natural gas or Ukraine itself, though.
No, but I think that I had as much knowledge as anybody else that was on the board, if not more.
In the list that you gave me, the reasons why you're on that board, you did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Yeah, no.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the Vice President of the United States.
Oh, thanks for acknowledging reality. So we knew the outlines. What we didn't know until today was how brazen this was. Hunter Biden didn't simply sell access to his father, the vice president,
Prolific
or take
selfie
cash to
taker.
influence American foreign policy. No, it's weirder than that.
Like,
As he schemed to extract more money from Burisma, Hunter Biden didn't refer to his father as his father. He referred to Joe Biden, the vice president, as, quote, my guy. On April 13th, 2014, for example, Hunter Biden wrote this to his business partner, quote, the announcement of my guy's upcoming travel should be characterized as part of our advice and thinking, end quote. Hunter Biden added that he needed to be, quote, protected financially and wanted a long-term role with Burisma. Quote, the contract should begin now, not after the upcoming visit of my guy. That should include a retainer in the range of $25,000.
Started.
It's
That's a
not clear
retainer,
if
by the
Biden
way.
got that retainer,
This
but we
kid's
know
going.
he
He's
did get a
getting going.
high-paying job at Burisma. Then in May 2014, just weeks after Hunter Biden joined the board of that company, a top executive there let him know why he was being paid. Very explicitly, quote, we urgently need your advice on how you can use your influence to convey a message, signal, etc., to stop what we consider to be politically motivated actions. The executive wrote that in an email.
Investigating
Quote, use your
Burisma.
influence to convey a message.
Use your influence
What
with your
message? What does that
daddy.
mean?
With your
Another
daddy.
email from the same executive obtained by the New York
That's why we
Post
paying
dated
you.
April 17th, 2015, explains in very clear terms what it means. Quote, Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to
opportunity
D.C. and giving an
to meet your
opportunity to
father
meet your father and spend some time
together.
together. It's really an honor and pleasure.
Can't.
Oh.
No, not that. What?
That's what you're not allowed to read.
necklace
And you
is
can
not
see
straight.
why
It's
Facebook and
driving
Twitter
me crazy.
don't want to allow you
Thank
to read it.
They're welcome.
If Joe Biden met with Burisma executives at the request of his son for the profit of his own family, it becomes very clear that Joe Biden's previous denials were lies.
I don't know anything
Just
about
last
it.
year, Joe Biden
I
was
know
telling us he
nothing.
had no idea
I see
what his son was
nothing.
doing.
I
with
hear
Burisma.
nothing.
You were the vice president running point on Ukraine. The average Joe hears that and
Follow
says
my
that sounds
finger.
fishy.
But he's
What's your
not so
understanding
average,
of what your
Joe.
son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody.
Well,
no
you
one
had a
said-
lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't pass the smell test. Like when you're vice president, isn't there a higher standard? Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong.
Nothing on its face that was wrong. That
He's
was before we saw
slack.
these emails.
We love
You
this
remember that
man
back in
here.
2018, Joe Biden explained that he got the
That's
top
not
prosecutor
his
in
name.
Ukraine fired. That prosecutor, Victor Shokin,
Shokin.
said he was planning to investigate
Getting my-
Burisma when he
It's
was
okay.
stripped of his job.
Shokin, Victor
Here's how
Shokin.
Joe Biden
Why?
explained
Just like the
slash
accent.
bragged about how he canned Victor
Is
Shokin.
that Ukrainian?
I
Is that
had
Russian?
gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take
Yatsenyuk.
action against the
Every time I
state
hear that name,
prosecutor,
I'm like,
and they didn't.
see-
So they said they were walking out to press conference. Said, "No," I said, "I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion."
Yatsenyuk.
They said, "You have no authority. You're not the president." The president said, "I said, call him."
He's gonna curse
I
here
said,
in a
"I'm telling you,
second.
You're not getting the $1 billion."
I've heard this
I said,
cursing.
"You're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be
so
leaving
many
you." I think it
times.
was what, 6 hours. I looked. I said, "I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money." Well, son of a bitch, got fired.
Babe.
Why is the Vice President of the United States firing prosecutors in Ukraine?
Obama didn't tell him to do that.
No
one told Joe Biden to do that.
That's bizarre behavior. It doesn't help the United States.
There's no reasoning. It was just kind of corrupt. No, that wasn't U.S. policy.
There was anything wrong with this. They just said Shokin was corrupt, and somehow the world was benefiting by Shokin getting fired.
Russian. Give me a second. Just hang on.
But of course, Joe Biden didn't do it for his son. He didn't know anything about
Google that.
He didn't know what Hunter Biden was up to. No clue. Then last October, we showed you a photograph of Joe and Hunter Biden golfing with a board member at Burisma, Hunter Biden's business partner, a man called Devin Archer.
Well, he's going to jail.
The Biden campaign never explained that photograph. Our media, of course, never really followed up. Instead, just as they're now rushing to bury the New York Post story, CNN rushed into Joe Biden's defense.
The impeachment inquiry is centered on President Trump's attempts to get political dirt from Ukraine on Vice President Biden and his son Hunter. Mr. Vice President, President Trump has falsely accused your son of doing something wrong while serving on a company board in Ukraine.
I love that CNN's made decisions.
I want to point out there's no evidence of wrongdoing by either one of you.
A few months later, we got some sense why Anderson Cooper was so careful in the interview you just saw. In December, a voter in Iowa tried to ask Joe Biden about Burisma and his fitness for office. Joe Biden lost control of himself. He called the man fat and then challenged him to a push-up contest.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. And you want to check my shape line, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the next. You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack. Look, fat. Look, here's the deal.
Here's the deal. What is the deal, actually? That's a question every American, no matter what your political views, has a right to an answer.
With lots of dollar signs in the deals.
And everybody,
so
and we
many
deserve
dollar
an answer.
Signs.
Okay, so it was the New York Post bombshell that Wednesday night that was referring to. We're going to cover a little bit of the hearing. So after that, as people started to share it, Kayleigh McEnany, the president's press secretary, Jack Posobiec, and
James Woods,
were all locked out of Twitter for their Hunter Biden tweets,
among many others.
And then the Twitter account Team Trump was locked out.
That's actually the Trump campaign team.
And then the Republicans'
official Trump campaign
Judiciary Committee put it out on their website, and then Twitter put up a warning on the link.
But it was literally instantaneous.
Right here, look. Warning. This link may be unsafe. Okay? So this is what you get with this link.
And this is still there right now?
This is still there right now.
Oh, wow.
The New York Post emails reveal how Hunter Biden tried to cash in big with the Chinese firm. The link you are trying to access has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially spammy or unsafe. This link could fall into any categories. Malicious links that could steal your information.
No.
Spammy links that mislead people to disrupt their experience. We're talking about
disrupt their experience with their cognitive dissonance.
We're talking about those links that get you malware on your computer. That's what they're saying this is. This is a link to the New York Post, okay? Violent or misleading content that could lead to real-world harm.
Real world harm for them.
And then this one. Must be the one they're falling under. Certain categories of content that if posted directly on Twitter are in violation of Twitter rules. That's pretty broad.
Pretty much anything that we say that we don't want out there falls under our role.
So Twitter came back and said, okay, we're gonna provide context. That's the context. But they did not do that.
So that's the new thing?
That's the new thing. That's how you can still get to it, but you have to go through there. Okay? Now, they did not do this for Melania's leaked phone calls or conversations.
Yeah.
They did not do this with Donald Trump's tax returns. They didn't do this with any Russian hoax story. They have done this nowhere for any conservative. They certainly did not do this for the Covington Catholic boys.
They think that they're going to get away with it, which is what is so hilarious.
And they think that that's okay to do. That's okay. Well, we're just going to put the New York Post article under a little thing that to get people to think, at least some people, to think that if I open this, I'm going to get malware on my computer.
But it's not that they think that it's okay. They know it's not okay. They think that they might get away with it. It's worth a shot.
Okay, we're done.
Listen.
We're done. Stop.
You had something on there.
Okay.
It was like a leaf.
So, you know when you open up your computer and or your cell phone or something, and you end up like clicking on some sort of link, and you won $10,000 or something, and you can't get it off, and you're like, back, because you know they're going to probably do something wrong. That is the way Twitter is keeping. The New York Post is the 4th largest publication in the United States. They're not spammy. They're not going to try to hack your phone. All right, so here we go. We're going to go to the next story, the next big story, and we're going to go over this. This is the Chinese firm story.
But it's still the same story. It's just a bigger part of it.
So Hunter Biden also pursued lucrative deals involving China's largest private energy company, including one that said Hunter said, this would be interesting for me and my family. Joe Biden is the godfather of a syndicate.
But I wish he would change to, instead of saying, come on, man, it's going to be like, come on, man.
Right. One email sent to Biden on May 13th, 2017, with the subject line expectations included details of remuneration packages for 6 people involved in an unspecified business venture. Now, this is going to get very interesting. So Hunter. Hunter is identified as the chair or the vice chair, depending on agreement with the CEFC. CEFC is a reference to the former Shanghai-based conglomerate China Energy Company. Okay? His pay was pegged at $850. And we don't know if it's $850 million, $850,000 a year. We don't know. And the email also noted that Hunter has some office expectations. We will elaborate.
Hang on. I love this. Hang on, wait. Let's just go to show how petty this selfie-taking child is.
I gotta have a good office, man.
You can give me, let's say, if it was $850,000 or $850 million, probably million. But I need.
I say,
is it a year? I was thinking total.
I was thinking $850 a year.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I need specific office stuff. Like my office has to look like this.
He's good at this, right? It's like
my $25,000 retainer.
Yeah. Okay. Under which 80%. So, in addition, the email outlined a provisional agreement under which 80% of the equity or shares in this new company would be split equally among 4 people whose initials, get this, respond to the sender and 3 recipients, with H apparently referring to Biden. You can see the emails here. Now, the deal also listed 10 Jim.
For which Biden? Joe Biden? You said H for the big guy.
Oh, wait. Shh, you're going to confuse people. H is for Hunter. 20 for Hunter.
Got it.
The deal also listed 10 for Jim and 10 held by H.
Okay, I got to pull that up because I need them to see that.
For the big guy.
They literally will not be able to see that unless I pull it up.
10% held by Hunter for Joe Biden. Okay? Neither Jim nor the big guy was identified further, but I'm going to say that makes the most sense here. Okay? The email's author, James Gilliar of the international consulting firm J2CR, also noted, I am happy to raise any detail with Zhang. Zhang is an apparent reference to Zhang Jinyun, the former executive director of this Chinese energy company. The email is contained in a trove of data that the owner of a computer repair shop in Delaware said was recovered from a Mac. Email sent by Biden as part of an August 2nd, 2017 chain involved a deal he struck with the since vanished chairman of the emails reveal how Hunter Biden tried to half ownership of a holding company. Get this. That was expected to provide Hunter Biden, with more than $10 million a year. Yi, who had ties to the Chinese military and intelligence service, hasn't been seen since being taken into custody by the Chinese authorities in early 2018. And this energy company actually went bankrupt earlier this year. Hunter Biden wrote that Yi had sweetened the terms of an earlier 3-year consulting contract with this energy company, CEFC, that was to pay him $10 million annually.
That's unbelievable.
For introductions alone.
Oh my gosh.
So Hunter was going to get $10 million a year to introduce people. To who? to people that you meet when your dad is the vice president.
That's an incredible... So here's the thing. I understand that even if people were to say he wasn't doing anything illegal, it's so corrupt.
Who's Hunter Biden going to be introducing these people to? Okay,
right.
That's worth $10 million a year.
Right.
Okay. The chairman changed the deal after him. Consulting fees is one piece of our income stream, but the reason this proposal by the chairman was so much more interesting to me and my family is that we would be partners. And my family. Okay, we would be partners in the equity and profits of this joint ventures investment. A photo from August 1st, 2017 shows a handwritten flowchart of the ownership of the Hudson West, split 50-50 between two entities, ultimately controlled by Hunter Biden and someone known as the chairman. Can you believe that? The chairman. It sounds like a really bad movie. Okay. According to a report on Biden's overseas business law firm, Owasco PC was one of the two owners. Biden's email was sent to Gongwen Dong, whom the Wall Street drew the hiring and legal analysis of any U.S. law firm or lawyer.
Okay, stop right there. I wanted them to see. I just want to point out
10 held for the big guy.
Here's this. Let's see if I make it bigger. 10 held by H for the big guy. Now, did you weren't giving the punchline just yet?
I did. I said it
Fox
already.
News.
That I believe
you said that Fox News had confirmed that the big guy was Joe Biden.
So I want to get everything careful,
right?
And so maybe you should just wait till I get there.
Okay, well that's what I was asking. But I'm probably gonna leave this article up while you're reading it and let them read it because they won't be able to see it very well there. So keep going.
So this is from Twitter. I haven't been able to confirm this, but from Brad for Life on Twitter says Fox News is confirming that Joe Biden is the big guy. Hunter Biden would hold cash for in the details detained in his emails. Wow. So
if true,
Biden's done. He's sunk. Like
absolutely
Biden
done.
steps down. He's done. Like he can't be running, right? Okay, so back over here we have in December 2018, a Manhattan federal jury convicted Ho in two schemes. The guy who gave so in 2018, the end of 2018, Manhattan federal jury convicted the man who paid Hunter Biden a $1 million retainer for legal fees. Mm-hmm. He was convicted for two schemes to pay $1 million in bribes to high-ranking government officials in Africa for oil rights in Chad and Uganda. Ho served a 3-year prison sentence and was deported to Hong Kong in June. Neither Biden's lawyer nor Joe Biden has been able to come out and say anything about this. Now, here is the link. If you guys want to see the original bombshell, it's been seen around the world. It's gone around the world 1,000 times. It's just amazing. This is go to the New York Post. Emails reveal how Hunter Biden... That is an ad that's going to play.
So there are... The New York Post has come out with a couple of different articles. There's
several.
Text messages show raw and intimate exchange between Joe and Hunter Biden. So there's just more there.
There's definitely more. There's definitely more there. This from the Babylon Bee.
This is satire.
Big tech fights election interference by interfering in the election. Okay, so big tech companies like Facebook and Twitter has successfully prevented other parties from interfering in the United States' upcoming presidential election by interfering in the election themselves. From nagging people to vote and curating their own election information as the only source of legitimate voting information for their users to squashing stories that would hurt the candidates they like and locking out conservatives from their social media accounts. Big tech companies are working hard to ensure that they're the only ones who are allowed to influence the election results this year. In order to make sure that no one interferes in the election, we will be interfering in the election, Mark Zuckerberg said. Satire. It's the only way to make sure nobody can meddle in the election this time around. Election interference not on our watch, said Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. Well, I mean our election interference, yes, but not the other guys. Only approved election interference will be accepted on our platforms. Just then, Dorsey's phone rang. Hey there, Joe. We squashed your story for you. No problem. Yeah, I got you, fan. Got you, man. I got you. All right. So, Lindsey Graham.
Love him.
Ted Cruz.
Yes.
Senate Judiciary has voted to subpoena Facebook CEO. Or they're looking into it at least. The panel
I know that
is
they've
looking
got
to compel the chiefs of Facebook and Twitter to testify on allegations of bias. This is from today.
I thought that Jack Dorsey was set. He has to go on October 23rd.
I think that he does. I'm pretty sure Dorsey does. I guess this is Facebook. So the Senate Judiciary Committee plans to vote on whether to authorize a subpoena to Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, to testify on allegations of anti-conservative bias alongside Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. So Twitter and Facebook have come under a barrage of criticism from President Trump and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see where that goes. I hope that they come prepared this time because they are never stinking prepared. Okay? Never, ever, ever prepared. It drives me crazy. And then...
Not everything you...
This was last night's story from Tucker. Now, this is where he goes into...
subvert American foreign policy in order to enrich his own family. In 2015, Joe Biden was the sitting vice president of the United States. Included in his portfolio were U.S. relations with the nation of Ukraine. So at that moment, Vice President Joe Biden had more influence over the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian economy than any other person on the globe outside of Eastern Europe. Biden's younger son, Hunter, knew that. He hoped to get rich from his father's influence. Emails published yesterday by the New York Post, documents apparently taken directly from Hunter Biden's own laptop, tell some of that story. Tonight, we'd like to bring you some more detail. We have another batch of emails, some exclusive to the show. We believe they also came from Hunter Biden's laptop. We can't prove that they did. We haven't examined that computer. But every detail that we could check, including Hunter Biden's personal email address at the time, suggests they are authentic. As we told you last night, if these emails are fake, this is the most complex and sophisticated hoax in history. It almost seems beyond human capacity. The Biden campaign clearly believes these emails are real. They have not said otherwise. We sent the body of them to Hunter Biden's attorney and never heard back. So with that
here's
in
the
mind,
thing.
Unbelievable.
If these aren't you, you just say they're not me.
I know. It's not that hard.
We have learned. On November 2nd, 2015 at 4:30 in the
because they
afternoon,
know, here's the thing. They know that if they can trace, like, if somebody comes out, like his business partner, and says, okay, that's me, that's my email, we did do this, and blah, 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 then the rest line up. What? Yeah.
Burisma executive called Vadim Pasharsky emailed Hunter Biden and his business partner, Devin Archer. The purpose of the email, Pasharsky explains, is to, quote, be on the same page about our final goals, including but not limited to a concrete course of action. So what did Burisma want exactly? Well, good PR, for starters. The executive wanted, quote, high-ranking U.S. officials to express their, quote, positive opinion of Burisma. And then he wanted the administration to act on Burisma's behalf. Quote, the scope of work should also include organization of a visit of a number of widely recognized and influential current and or former U.S. policymakers to Ukraine in November, aiming to conduct meetings with and bring positive signals and message of support to Burisma.
So wait, Hunter is designated with the job of gathering together U.S. officials that work in the Ukraine to do a positive spin on Burisma. That is what that's what he's been paid to do.
Political officials.
Yeah.
The goal, the executive explained, was to, quote, close down any cases / pursuits against the head of Burisma.
The goal was to close down. So we want U.S. policy people to make us look good, to shut down the investigation into us. Then Joe Biden goes over at this time. He says, shut it down. Shut it down. So Joe Biden is the result. What you saw Joe Biden do in the beginning by saying fire him is a result of this email.
We refer to it as quid pro quo. Exactly what they accused Trump of doing with the new president of Ukraine. Joe Biden quite literally did and bragged about with Ukraine to protect his son. Right.
Ukraine. So that couldn't be clearer.
While vice president.
Burisma wanted Hunter Biden's father to get their company out of legal trouble with the Ukrainian government. And that's exactly what happened. 1 month later, to the day, on December 2nd, 2015, Hunter Biden received a notice from a Washington PR firm called Blue Star Strategies. Blue Star Strategies apparently had been hired to lobby the administration on Ukraine. This show has exclusively obtained that email. Hello all, it began. This morning, the White House hosted a conference call regarding the vice president's upcoming trip to Ukraine. Attached is a memo from the Blue Star Strategies team with the minutes of the call, which outlined the trip's agenda and addressed several questions regarding U.S. policy toward Ukraine, end quote. So here you have a PR firm involved in an official White House foreign policy call. How could that happen? Good question, but it worked. Days later, Joe Biden flew to Ukraine and did exactly what his son wanted. The vice president gave a speech slamming the very Ukrainian law enforcement official who was tormenting Burisma, the exact guy. If the Ukrainian government doesn't fire its top prosecutor, a man called Viktor Shokin, Biden explained, the administration withhold $1 billion in American aid. Now, Ukraine is a poor country, so they had no choice but to obey. Biden's bullying worked. He bragged about it later.
We can't watch it again. I have heard him say that so many
pretend
times.
as if what he said was normal and officially authorized. This is how things are done. That's not true at all. This is bizarre. And the amazing thing about the video you just saw is that no one in that audience of Harvard graduates and other assorted smart people.
We already played it once on this show, and we played it 100 times on this show.
It's the glaringly obvious question. Why was the vice president of the United States threatening a tiny country like Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor? That doesn't seem like a vice president's role. Well, now we know why. Viktor Shokin has signed an affidavit affirming that he was in fact investigating Burisma at the moment Joe Biden had him removed. Shokin said that before he was fired, administration officials pressured him into dropping the case against Burisma. He would not do that, so Joe Biden canned him. That's how things really work in Washington. Your son's got a lucrative consulting deal with Ukrainian energy company. You tailor American foreign policy to help make him rich. Our foreign policy. Even at the State Department, possibly the most cynical agency in government, this seemed shockingly brazen. During the impeachment proceedings last fall, a State Department official called George Kent said it was widely known in Washington that the Bidens were up to something sleazy in Ukraine. Quote, I was on a call with somebody on the vice president's staff, and I raised my concerns that I had heard that Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. This, George Kent noted, could create a perception of a conflict of interest. So how did the vice president's office respond to this concern? Well, according to George Kent, quote, the message that I recall hearing back was that the vice president's son, Beau, was dying of cancer, and there was no further bandwidth to deal with family-related issues at the time. Family-related issues. This was America's foreign policy being tailored to Joe Biden's son. 5 years later, Joe Biden still has not been forced to explain why he fired Ukraine's top prosecutor at precisely the moment his son was being paid to get him to fire Ukraine's top
debater
prosecutor.
has asked him the question. No moderator.
Has the vice president gone anywhere and said, fire your prosecutor?
Ever.
Has he ever? Especially without consulting the president?
Has any president ever gone and done it?
Biden addressed whether or not he personally...
Have we gone over and said, fire anyone?
benefited
That
from
would
the
be us
Burisma
interfering
contract.
in another country?
But there are tantalizing hints. Last night, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani published what he said was yet another email from Hunter Biden's laptop. It's a note to one of his children. It's sad, and it's fraught, and it's personal, and we're not going to quote it at length. But at the end, there's this, quote, don't worry. Unlike your grandfather, I won't make you give me half your salary. What does that mean exactly? Well, we don't know. There may be more detail in the laptop, but unfortunately we don't have access to that. But the question remains.
The question remains. The question remains.
It's a beautiful day. I'm so happy right now. I just can't. Here's the deal. They only could have pulled this censorship as brazenly quickly as they did. Mm-hmm. They only would have, I guess I should say, if it was life or death for the Democrats this year.
So we covered Wednesday's breaking news. The China deal was Thursday's breaking news. And now Friday's breaking news.
That's today.
Just at 4 p.m., Jack Posobiec tweets out, Hunter Biden's former business partner, Bevan Cooney, has flipped. He was jailed over a bond scheme. He and has connected with journalists Matthew Tyremond and Peter Schweitzer, turned over access to his Gmail account.
Woo!
And so I'm going to go over here to Matthew Tyremond.
So it's so interesting to me that he decided to go with a news outlet instead of like police.
Yeah. Okay, so Matthew Turmond says, I'm proud to have worked. Just me, tire or tur. Okay, proud to have worked on this expose, and this is merely the tip of the iceberg. Lots more coming soon. China, Ukraine, Russia. There was no dirty business theater. Where's Hunter? Would go not in the pursuit of the almighty dollar trading on Joe Biden's name. So this is his article this is breaking. This is just out.
Okay.
So hold on to your tushies.
I got them.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Newly obtained emails from a Hunter Biden business partner lay out in detail.
Okay.
How Vice President's son and his colleagues used their access to the Obama-Biden administration to arrange private meetings for potential foreign clients and investors at the highest levels in the White House. These never-before-revealed emails outline how a delegation of Chinese investors and Communist Party officials managed to secure a private, off-the-books meeting with then Vice President Joe Biden. Now, you're sitting in jail. You know that it was probably this other guy that was like getting you in on the scheme. But you were in jail.
What other guy?
Hunter. Okay, his other friend is going to jail too.
All the Hunter's friends are going to jail.
And they're like, dude, we are in this together. We're all
We're the three musketeers. If we go to jail,
guess who else is going to have to go to jail?
Hunty?
John Kerry's son-in-law is on the board of Burisma. Okay?
More paper play.
It's everywhere. Okay? That's why they had to cover this up. That's why they had to impeach Trump and make Trump look like the Ukrainian fall guy. Because their only way to do this is to try to fight a fire is a backfire.
Do you remember what I said last Friday? The reason why they did Russia, the reason why they did Ukraine is because they knew that these things would be popping up, and they wanted people to be like, oh, every time I hear Ukraine or Russia, it has to be Trump.
Right.
Instead of, it could be Hunter Biden, and it could be all of these other
Biden, Russia, possible collusion. Biden, Ukraine, possible collusion. Biden, China, possible collusion. Real collusion.
Probable collusion. Now we have EU mails.
Okay. These never before, and everything, we had Trump's phone call. Hey, maybe you want to look into that Hunter Biden thing that I keep hearing about. Okay? These never before revealed emails outline how a delegation of Chinese investors.
That's right. Nancy Pelosi's son was also in with Biden. I forgot about that. That's right.
That's why she has to push
That's why Nancy has to push it.
All their kids are going to jail.
So great.
How a delegation of Chinese investors and Communist Party officials. And here's the thing. I'm fine with Joe Biden living out the rest of his days in some old folks' home. Okay? Just, you don't have to put him in jail.
Haven't you see the Biden for resident signs?
Yeah, I think that's where he needs to go. These never before revealed emails outline. There's got to be some sort of like halfway house for old people getting out of jail or something. You know what I mean? Because he's got to have his finances. I don't think they'll take his finances away, but you know. All right, these never before revealed emails outline how a delegation of Chinese investors and Communist Party officials managed to secure a private, off-the-books meeting with the then VP Joe Biden.
They rode in Air Force 2.
In a 2011 email, Hunter did. I don't know about other people.
I'm sorry. I meant they, like Joe and Hunter.
Yeah.
To China.
Yes. In 2011, I would say that that's not the biggest thing because, you know, hey, my son went with me to China.
No, I know, but it's just it's the principle of the matter.
Yeah. In 2011 email, Hunter Biden's business associates also discussed developing relations with what one called China Inc. as part of a new push on a soft diplomacy for the Chinese. The Chinese have been going underneath the table. They fight war at a different level, okay? It's a covert in the mind, you know, under the tables. These emails are completely unconnected to the Hunter Biden emails being released by the New York Post because these are emails that actually back this up. Right. Okay. So these and more explosive, never before revealed emails were provided to Schweitzer by Bevan Cooney, a one-time Hunter Biden and Devon Archer business associate. Cooney is currently in prison for serving a sentence for his involvement in a 2016 bond fraud investment scheme. Now, here's the thing about these emails. So it's one thing to say, oh, that guy's in jail and he's squealing. No. He's like, here's my email. Right. That's totally different. All right. In 2019, Cooney reached out to Schweitzer after becoming familiar with the revelations in his 2018 book, Secret Empires. Cooney explained that he believes he was the fall guy for the fraud scheme that Archer and Hunter Biden had avoided responsibility for. Sing an impossible dream. Okay. Archer, who was also, and we're not happy about crime. We're happy that crime we know is there.
Yes.
We're happy it's being out. Archer, who was also convicted in the case, saw a federal judge vacate his conviction. This is crazy, okay? The federal judge vacated Devin Archer's conviction. There's some connection here. I don't know if they're going to go into that with another Democrat congressperson or something. I can't remember. But an appellate court overturned the lower court judge's ruling, reinstating Archer's conviction in the case. Archer, Hunter Biden's longtime business partner, actually awaits sentencing, but he's going to prison. Okay, Cooney, their associate, who is currently serving a prison sentence on his conviction in the matter, later reestablished contact with Schweitzer through investigative journalist Matthew Tyerman from prison. Cooney provided Schweitzer with written authorization, his email account name, and password to his Gmail account to retrieve these emails. He authorized in writing the publication of these emails.
Oh my gosh.
Notable because it is the first time a close associate has publicly confirmed Hunter's trading on his father's influence. Now I'm just wondering, if he got this in 2019, when were they going to drop it? This is really weird to me, but whatever. October surprise is a big thing in a lot of people's worlds.
I don't know. It could be strategic timing because, like we said, they can't. I think by law we have to have the election on November 3rd. Okay, so they don't have a chance to get another candidate.
Right. The emails offer a unique window into just how the Biden universe conducted business during the Obama-Biden administration. These associates sought to trade on Hunter Biden's relationship with and access to his father, his dad, relationship with dad, and the Obama-Biden White House in order to generate business. For instance, on November 5th, 2011, one of Archer's business contacts forwarded him an email teasing an opportunity to gain potentially outstanding new clients by helping to arrange White House meetings for a group of Chinese executives and government officials. The group was the China Entrepreneur Club, the CEC, and the delegation included Chinese billionaires, Chinese Communist Party loyalists, and at least one respected diplomat from Beijing. Despite its benign name, Chinese CEC has been called a second foreign ministry for the People's Republic of China. Wow. These are people at the highest levels in China who are part of the Communist Party. Okay, you don't get to be rich in China without being part of the government. Okay,
right.
A communist government that closely controls most businesses in its country. Okay, you're controlled by. There's no real entrepreneurs. It doesn't exist. CEC was established in 2006 by a group of businessmen and Chinese government diplomats. Here's the email here. CEC's leadership boasts numerous senior members of the CCP, including Wang Zhongyu, Vice Chairman of the 10th CPPCC National Committee and Deputy Secretary of the party group. I'm not going to go over these names, people in the party. I know it is political season and people are hesitant, but a group like this does not come along every day. An intermediary named Mohammed Khashoggi wrote, that's very interesting, wrote on behalf of the CEC to an associate of Hunter Biden and Devin Archer. A tour of the White House and a meeting with a member of the Chief of Staff's office and John Kerry would be great. Now remember, John Kerry's son-in-law is on the board with Hunter Biden on Burisma, so we're all chummy here. Khashoggi said before, including what should have been a major red flag. Not sure if one has to be registered to do this. Presumably, Khashoggi meant a registered lobbyist under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, the FARA Act. Khashoggi believed the trip presented a soft diplomacy play that could be very effective and would give Hunter Biden's business partners good access to the Chinese for any deal in the future. Indeed, the email boasted of CEC's wealthy membership, and they list all the names of these wealthy people. The gross income of the CEC membership's company allegedly totaled more than
$1.5 trillion,
together accounting for 4% of China's GDP. The overture to Hunter Biden's associates described the Chinese CEC members variously as industrial elites, highly influential, and among the most important private sector individuals in China today. Now, that's why Joe Biden had to say, China's not so bad.
China's not so
because my son's getting rich.
Yeah.
Before contacting the Hunter Biden's associates, the CEC had been trying to get meetings with top Obama-Biden administration officials to no avail. From the D.C. side, as you will see below, the CEC, have written letters to several members of the administration and others and have so far not had a strong reaction. This is China Inc., wrote Khashoggi in the email, referring to the delegation of Chinese billionaires. Biggest priority for the CEC group is to see the White House and have a senior U.S. politician, a senior member of Obama's administration, give them a tour. If your friend in D.C. can help, we would be extremely grateful. Hunter Biden and Devon Archer apparently delivered for the CCP within 10 days. The original October 19, 2011 email from Khashoggi was sent to Gary Fears, a controversial political fundraiser with a checkered history who was caught up in a riverboat casino scandal in the mid-90s, who forwarded on to Archer a couple weeks later on November 5, 2011. Time was short, as Khashoggi's original email noted that the Chinese delegation would be in D.C. on November 14th. Fears told Archer to reach out to Khashoggi about the request regarding getting this Chinese business persons and officials into the Obama White House, adding it would be perfect for Archer to also attend with them and to then get guys for the potash deal. The same day Fears sent Khashoggi's message to him, Archer took the email from Fears and sent it to Khashoggi a business proposal for a potash mine deal he had lined up. 6 days after the initial overture, Archer received a follow-up email asking how a meeting with CEC's representatives went. The email closed with, "Do me a favor and ask Hunter Biden to call me. I've tried reaching him a couple times." Archer responded, "Hunter is traveling to the UAE for a week with royalty, so probably next week before he will be back in pocket." The meeting with the CEC representative was good. Seems like there is a lot to do together down the line. Probably not a fit for the current potash private placement, but he's a good strategic relationship as the mine develops. Definitely have a drink with Mohammed and let him know how impressed I was with the whole deal. 1 minute later, Archer sent a follow-up email. Couldn't confirm this with Hunter on the line, but we got him his meeting at the White House Monday for the Chinese folks. On the day of the meeting, November 14th, Cooney, here's the guy giving over the emails, emailed Fears to confirm that Archer got the Chinese guys all taken care of in D.C. The Obama-Biden administration archives reveal that this Chinese delegation did indeed visit the White House on November 14th.
2011.
And enjoyed high-level access. The delegation included approximately 30 members, according to the White House visitor logs, but those records also obscure perhaps the most important item for the Chinese delegation, a meeting with Joe Biden. The visitor logs list Jeff Zients, the deputy director of Obama's Office of Management and Budget, as the host of the CEC delegation.
So they were only wanting originally, they thought at best they could get to see John Kerry.
Some top guys.
But they actually got to see the vice president. Yeah. I'm saying they got better than what they wanted.
Sure. They delivered. Obama was your dad. Dad, I need you to meet with these people. So Obama had tasked Zients with reconstructing the ultimately consolidating the various export-import agencies under the Commerce Department, an effort in which the Chinese delegation would have a keen interest. The trip itinerary posted by the CEC also confirms the delegation met with Obama's then recently confirmed Commerce Secretary John Bryson. Curiously, the Obama-Biden visitor logs do not mention any meeting with Vice President Joe Biden. But the Vice President's off-the-books meeting was revealed by one of the core founders of the CEC. In an obscure document listing the CEC's members' biographies, CEC Secretary General Maggie Cheng alleges that she facilitated the CEC delegation meetings in Washington in 2011 and boasts of the Washington establishment figures that CEC met with. The first name she dropped was Vice President Joe Biden. So she's not in that there's anything wrong with this.
Right.
Joe Biden kept it off the books.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I'm at the VP. The relationships established during that visit may have benefited Hunter Biden and Devon Archer down the road because 2 years later, they famously helped to form the Chinese government-funded Bohai Harvest Investment Fund. So you wonder, how did Hunter Biden make the deal, the 1 point some odd deal? By happen chance, he got the richest men in China into the White House. And so 2 years later, they're like, hey, let's make more deals.
Right.
Right? That's how he gets it never made sense to me. How did these Chinese people know you?
But if the meeting is on the up and up, why did Joe Biden need to have it off the books?
Yes. Yeah, but I always wondered, how did he get to the level of making the deal? This, I arranged a meeting first, right? Okay, so 2 years later, they famously helped to form the Chinese government-funded Bohai Harvest, the BHR investment fund. So, one of BHR's first major portfolio investments was a ride-sharing company like Uber called Didi Dash, now called Didi something else technology. That company is closely connected to Li Xiaozi, the chairman of China Entrepreneur Club, the CEC. Okay, so here is the chairman of CEC. Making this deal, helping Hunter Biden create this company, because he made a relationship with the CEC, okay, and the founder of Legend Holdings, the parent company of Lenovo, computer guy, and one of the world's largest computer companies. Liu is a former Communist Party delegate and was a leader of the 2011 CEC delegation to the White House. So Liu has been long involved in CCP politics, including serving as a representative to the 9th, 10th, and 11th sessions of the National People's Congress. So the Biden campaign has not responded, and this is a developing story. They're going through these emails. I'm guessing there's more, but we'll see. But this guy Cooney has flipped and said, "Listen, we made these deals, and we did it because Hunter Biden's dad is Joe Biden,
right?"
And here's the sticking point, right? You can't have your kid lobbying you on behalf of a foreign government.
And that's what I kept sitting here thinking.
In order for your child to make millions of dollars.
I think that in Joe Biden's oblivion, which I think he probably even was back in 2011, okay, he was thinking, I am vice president. There is nothing wrong with me meeting with foreign people.
Well, here's the thing. People in big business help their kids all the time.
Yeah.
They introduce things all the time. They help their kids get jobs all the time.
Right.
But you can't do that when you're in the government and you're using government dollars and government access to help your kid.
And making governmental decisions that benefit those who are paying your child.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right.
Guys, it's I can't even. This whole thing. So here's what I'm thinking. This is a disclaimer for anyone that ever gets their hands on anything like this computer guy did with Hunter Biden's laptop. Somebody here in the chat said that the FBI destroyed the evidence like they did with Hillary's. I don't know whether they did or not. Okay, but let's just assume for a second that they did. This is hypothetical. They destroy Hunter Biden's hard drive. If I was the FBI, okay, you might, some or more like the CIA, the computer guy might have a accident, okay, so that he can't release all of this stuff. So if I'm the computer guy, if you hand something over to the FBI, you need to have a kill switch, man. Policy, like if something happens to me, this has to get out because they may come after you. Right. We know about the Hillary Clinton body count.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go over, because we're going to cover a little bit of the hearing, just a tidbit with Nico Verrett. We're going to cover a little bit of the town halls last night.
To answer Jules of Thought, you missed where we were saying. She says, "Who do you think is the big guy?" I think that is Bo. The big guy, everyone is assuming, is Joe Biden. And we have a tweet from someone that says that Fox News has confirmed that it is. We can't confirm that, but we'll have to give that to you when we do. But I think the assumption is that it's Joe. The big guy is Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this came out from Paul Sperry at Real Clear Investigations, and what he did was he looked through Hunter Biden's political career. So let's just take a little trip down memory lane, and you can ask yourself if you would have gotten. Here's the thing. I want to make clear. People with money, people in Hollywood, people do things. They it's called nepotism, and you bring your kids up in the company. You introduce them to your friends. You do things for your kids, and rich billionaires, they all do this. However, unless they just really stink, like you really should, like hey Dad, you got a good place in business. Get me in your business, right? But when it comes to politics, that's not how you can't do that. It's illegal. It's illegal, okay? To sell anything, to make a trade with a person for political benefits, okay? So Hunter Biden profited from his father's political connections long before he struck the questionable deals in countries where Joe Biden was undertaking diplomatic missions. We're gonna go underneath the iceberg here, okay? In fact, virtually all the jobs listed on his resume, going back to his first position out of college, which paid a 6-figure salary, came courtesy of the former 6-term senator's donors, 47 years. So all of his jobs came courtesy of donors, lobbyists, and allies of Joe Biden. Okay? So here we go. One document reviewed by Real Clear Politics reveals that a Biden associate admitted to finding employment for Hunter Biden specifically as a special favor to his father, then a Senate leader running for president. He secured a $1.2 million gig on Wall Street for his young son, even though it was understood he had no experience in high finance. Many of his generous patrons, in turn, ended up with legislation and policies favorable to their businesses and their investments. So if you are giving somebody favorable policies in exchange for your son to have a good job, that is illegal. You have to go to jail for that. Oh. This isn't one time. This is multiple times. Okay? So,
first of all, I would love to see Hunter Biden's bank accounts, because where does all that money go? You can't spend that kind of money. Where did it go? All you have to do is follow the money. And if at all ever Joe Biden received a dime from Hunter Biden, it's over.
No fewer than 3 committees in the Republican-controlled Senate have opened probes into the potential Biden family conflicts, and we just had one that came out last, like a couple weeks ago, which showed that Hunter Biden was spending money on prostitutes of sex trafficking rings. He got $3.5 million from the richest couple in
Moscow,
in Russia. Why would
Former
Hunter
mayor,
Biden,
by the way,
why would Hunter Biden get $3.5 million? He's a crack cocaine hooker addict. Okay, what is he getting, and what are they getting in return? Okay, except for access to Joe Biden, right? So, investigators are also poring over Treasury Department records. I'm like, taxes. If I'm afraid when I do my own pet sitting tax returns, is somebody going to get me, right? Because I'm like, okay, I want to do this right. I got this all set. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Mm-hmm. How does this guy keep his taxes straight that he doesn't go to prison for a million years just on tax evasion and tax stuff alone? Did he pay taxes on $3.5 million from a mayor and list why he got it for the wife of a mayor? Like, how do you pay taxes on all this stuff? I know. How does he? I thought about that today. How do you keep track of all of your balls in the air?
I know.
And tax wise, okay. All right. We know the IRS just really loves to nail people. Unless, so investigators are poring over the Treasury Department records that have flagged suspicious activities involving Hunter Biden's banking transactions and business deals that may be connected to his father's political influence. U.S. ethics rules require all government officials to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest in taking official actions. The Bidens have denied any wrongdoing. While most of the attention on Hunter has been focused on the dealings with Ukraine and China, let's go over some other things here. Let me get to. All right. So in all cases, Hunter Biden is underqualified or appears underqualifies for all of his positions. Remember, he joined the military, was kicked out for cocaine. They found a crack pipe and his driver's license in a rental car. So he's a chronic abuser of alcohol and drugs. He takes pictures of himself doing alcohol and drugs. There's weird videos and pictures on the hard drive. Everybody knows that he is just not. He's had 12. Wait, it says. I think he's had 6 drug rehab treatment programs he's gone through, cycled in and out of. He's also been the subject of at least 2 drug-related investigations by police, one in 1988, another in 2016, according to federal reports. And remember, the Navy Reserve kicked him out in 2014. He had a very unique career trajectory, as one former family member gently put it, and pieced together some interviews here. So his resume begins 25 years ago, and here's a rundown. So, 96-98, the NBNA Corp, fresh out of college, credit card giant. This really bothers me because I remember that Joe Biden, he said he's for the people, and you would think a socialist would be for the people, but he actually was lobbied by this company who hired his son to make it harder for people to file bankruptcy. So he made it harder on consumers.
Wow.
Easier for the credit card companies. And I believe he was also part of like allowing like these huge interest rates and things like that, right? So there's a credit card company called like Visa, like MasterCard. It was called NBNA. So they put him on on its payroll as senior vice president, earning more than $100,000 a year plus an undisclosed signing bonus. This Delaware-based NBNA at the time was Joe Biden's largest donor. So he's already got a job with his largest donor, okay? And was lobbying the Delaware senator for bankruptcy reforms that would make it harder for consumers to declare bankruptcy and write off credit card debt.
I'm pretty sure that should be illegal.
No, that's illegal. Besides a job for Hunter, bank executives and employees gave generously to Joe Biden's campaign. Over $200,000, federal records show, and one top executive even bought Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home for more than $200,000 above market value. That's called money laundering.
Hang on a second. What did he do?
So Joe Biden puts his home on the market.
Yeah.
One of the executives who's lobbying Joe Biden and giving him money buys Joe Biden's home for $200,000 above market value. I want to give you... So we put our home on the market. If we've got political paralysis. Looks like, oh my gosh, our home, we got an extra $200,000 out of our home.
Well, the county seems to think it's worth that.
No, okay, let's not even go there. So the executive paid top dollar, $1.2 million, for the old house, even though it lacked even central air conditioning.
Huh?
NBNA also flew Biden and his wife to events and covered their travel costs. Senator Biden eventually came through for MBNA by sponsoring and whipping votes, meaning if you're going to be a Democrat, you have to vote this way. You get kicked out of the party. That's what the Democrat whip is.
No, it said that hang on, go back. I don't think you read those numbers right. It said the exec paid $1.2 million. Okay, $200,000 above. Okay, go ahead then. Sorry.
So he came through for MBNA by sponsoring and whipping votes in the Senate to pass the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention Act. When NBC News anchor Tom Brokaw, when they actually kind of did some
like reporting,
and
integrity a little
asked
bit.
Biden during the 2008 presidential campaign whether it was wrong for someone like you, in the middle of all this, to have your son collecting money from this big credit card company while you were on the Senate floor protecting its interest, Biden gave an answer that he would repeat many times in the future. Absolutely not. He snapped. He argues. He gets angry. When you see Biden argue and get angry, you know he's lying. That's his tell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play. If you play poker with him, if he argues and gets angry, he's lying because he doesn't know how to process a lie very well.
Right.
You know, he's not Slick Willie. He's angry, creepy Joe. Arguing was completely appropriate for Hunter because he graduated from Yale. Well, yeah, but maybe if he worked for somewhere else. So, and he moved on in 1998, 2001 at the Commerce Department. So Hunter also capitalized on the family name in 1998 when he joined President Clinton's agency. In spite of having no experience in the .com industry, he was appointed Executive Director of E-Commerce Policy Coordination, pulling down another six-figure salary plus bonuses. He landed the job after his father's longtime campaign manager and lawyer, William Oldacre, called the then Commerce Secretary William Daley, who'd also worked on Biden's campaigns, and put in a good word for his son. So, there you go there. In 2001, he moves on, Oldacre, Biden, and Bella.
From 01 to 09.
Yeah. After Republican President George W. Bush, took over the Commerce Department, Hunter left the government and joined Oldacre, an open lobbying shop in Washington, just blocks from Congress, where he gained access to exclusive business and political deals. Federal disclosure forms show Hunter Biden and his firm billed millions of dollars while lobbying on behalf of a host of hospitals and private colleges and universities, among other clients. In a 2006 disclosure statement submitted to the Senate, Hunter said his clients were seeking federal appropriations for dollars. Hunter won the contract to represent St. Joseph University from an old Biden family friend who worked in government relations at the university and proposed he solicit earmarks for one of his programs in Philadelphia. The friend, Robert Scamorcha, remarked in a press interview that Hunter had a very strong last name that really paid off in terms of our lobbying efforts. These clients, like MBNA, also favor bankruptcy reforms.
So hang on, let's expound on that a little bit. It's not just that he is lobbying Joe himself, just having the last name Biden.
Right.
And what is the legality of that?
That's a good question. Also favored bankruptcy reforms to make it harder for patients and students to discharge debt in bankruptcy filings. So here's what's absolutely hilarious to me. They want to pay for free college. They don't care about that. They want your vote. Because when it came down to it, they made it hard to discharge your student loans in bankruptcy filings. Joe Biden did that because his son was making money for university. It's absolutely insane. At the same time, Hunter was operating as a Beltway lobbyist. He was receiving consulting payments from his old employer in B&A, by the way. He's still working for the credit card company, which was still courting his father over some bankruptcy. Because it goes really far. Bankruptcy, if you can get people not to be able to go through bankruptcy, you save billions of dollars, right? So what's, $1 million to him? In 2007, Hunter also dined with a private prison lobbyist who had business before a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee Joe Biden chaired.
No.
According to published reports, Senate rules bar members or their staff from having contact with family members who are lobbyists seeking to influence legislation.
I want to insert a personal story here real quick. Leah and I used to do, and we talked about this, market research studies and pharmaceutical studies and product studies, okay? And every single time, especially for the market research studies, we had to answer a questionnaire about whether we worked for like news outlets or agencies or that specific company or anything like that. And they made it feel like if we lied about that, if we were like a news anchor or something like that, or we had anything to do with media or whatever, we were going to jail for the rest of our lives just for participating in market research for a bottle of shampoo. This is like beyond next level.
Yeah, everything that they tried to dream up for John Jr., right? Hunter's lawyer lobbyist firm was embroiled in a conflict of interest controversy in 2006 when it was criticized for representing a lobbyist under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. The lobbyist was still taking payments from his old K Street firm while working as a top aide on the House Appropriations Committee. Hunter at the time was lobbying that same committee for earmarks for his clients. William Oldacre did not just make Hunter Biden a rich lobbyist. Oldacre also secured a $1 million loan for him through a bank he co-founded, Washington First, that Hunter sought for an investment scheme, which actually went sour later. Joe Biden deposited hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign and political action committee donations at Washington First, while funneling hundreds of thousands in campaign and PAC expenditures to Oldacre, Biden, and Bel Air. So a lot of campaign dollars went bust in this particular bank.
Unbelievable.
Joe Biden's payments to Hunter's lobbying firm were about $143,000 in 2007 alone and were listed as legal services. Okay? Oldacre did not respond. So 2003-2005, National Group LLP. While serving as a partner of Oldacre, Biden, and Bel Air.
2003 to 5.
Okay, sorry.
It's fine, it doesn't matter.
Hunter also registered as a lobbyist for National Group, a lobbying-only subsidiary which shares offices with OB&B and specialized in targeted spending items inserted into legislation known as earmarks. So evil, by the way. It's called
These dates are overlapping. He had his hand in all sorts of cookie jars. It's not amazing that like you move from one job to the next job.
No. Yeah. Hunter represented his father's alma mater, the University of Delaware, and other Biden constituents and submitted requests to Biden's office for earmarks benefiting these clients in appropriation bills. Now in 2006, 2007, paradigm companies. In 2005, when Joe Biden was thinking about making another run at the White House after a 1987 bid. Now remember, Joe Biden was looking to run for president.
Yeah.
But he got the VP. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So remember,
that's usually how that works.
So remember, in 1988 ended because of his plagiarism and lying about I had 3 degrees, 1 degree, and stuff like that. So his son was looking for work in 2005 too. So in early 2006, Wall Street executive and Biden family friend Anthony Latito said Biden's younger brother Jim phoned him on behalf of the senator. He said Biden wanted his youngest son, whom he still called Honey, to get out of the lobbying business to avoid allegations of conflicts of interest that might dog Biden's presidential bid.
Wow.
But, Hunter's like, Dad, I'm making too much money at this. Right? Biden was concerned that with the impact that Hunter's lobbying activities might have on his expected campaign, and asked his brother to seek Lotito's assistance in finding some other employment for him in a non-lobbying capacity. According to a January 2007 complaint that Lolito filed in New York State court against Hunter over this breach of contract in a related venture. So Lotito told the court he agreed to help Hunter as a favor to the senator who had served on the powerful banking committee. He figured the financial and these committees, like when you see the committee on like ethics, those people are breaking the ethics. You see the committee on commerce, they are just messing things up with commerce. Any committee on anything, they're just like tripping everything up. So he figured the financial community might be a good starting place in which to seek out employment on Hunter's behalf. So it's that he quickly found that Wall Street had no interest in hiring Biden. So the Bidens hatched a scheme to buy a hedge fund, whereby Hunter would then assume a senior executive position in the company. And Lotito helped broker the deal. Despite having no Wall Street experience, Biden was appointed interim CEO and president of the Paradigm Investment Fund and given a $1.2 million salary. Lotito joined the enterprise as a partner and agreed to shepherd Hunter, still in his mid-30s, through his new role in high finance. We're going to just roll this stock market, bro. Given Hunter Biden's inexperience in the securities industry, it was agreed that Lotito would maintain an office at the new holdings company's New York headquarters in order to assist Biden. After the venture failed, Lotito sued the Bidens for fraud. The Bidens countersued, and they settled. So here we have Amtrak. This is weird to me. Like
Amtrak?
Yeah. So for 3 years, starting in 2006, Amtrak. During the same period, he's trying to make some money, make some dough, trying to make it happen, make the cash come in. Got to keep that crack pipe filled. Hunter was appointed vice chairman of a taxpayer-subsidized rail line, thanks to the sponsorship of powerful Democrat Senator Harry Reid, political ally of Joe Biden. So, in a 2006 statement submitted to the Senate during his confirmation, Hunter asserted that he was qualified for the Amtrak board. How does Hunter Biden...
list for what he says why.
As a frequent commuter and Amtrak customer for 30 years, I have literally logged thousands of miles on Amtrak.
So that makes him qualified
to run Amtrak.
Kids, this is why we don't do drugs.
Amtrak had been a major supporter of Joe Biden, donating to both his Senate and his presidential campaigns, and even naming a train station after him in Washington.
Can't ever ride an Amtrak again.
This is a taxpayer-funded train. No wonder it doesn't operate very well. Right?
Probably a shell
We
company.
could have Amtraks all over the country and just zip everywhere, but we don't, because they're spending too much money on lobbying and for paying people not to do anything and for hiring crack addicts. In return, Biden has supported taxpayer subsidies for the government railroad throughout his political career. In his testimony, Hunter denied his Amtrak appointment pushed conflict of interest boundaries. I'm just saying, no. So here we have 2009 Rosemont Seneca Partners, and here where it gets really dirty and crazy, as if the Amtrak thing wasn't enough. Your dad is literally making sure Amtrak has money, and you're the vice chair or whatever of Amtrak. Like, how does that even happen? Because you're vice president's son. Like,
when Joe Biden's name was floated about for a possible run for president. Now, remember, let's go back. It wasn't that probable in 2019. We were all going like, no, it can't be Joe because his son Hunter has too many skeletons in his closet. It's not going to be Joe. It will never be Joe because all that stuff about Hunter is going to come out. Mm-hmm. It's come.
Hunter co-founded, because he's so smart with his Amtrak money, the investment firm 5 months after his father moved into the White House and incorporated it in his father's home state of Delaware, which has strict corporate secrecy rules. At the time, Obama had tapped VP Biden to oversee the recovery from the financial crisis. 3 weeks after Rosemont was incorporated, Hunter and his partners set up a subsidiary called Rosemont Health and got $24 million in loans from the federal program known as the Term Asset-Backed Securities Loan Facility. Remember, they didn't go bankrupt. I don't think during the I don't know. No, 2009. So they got money creating a bank when money for banks were going around. So they created the bank to get the money. They didn't actually go through any problems. This was created in 2009. The crash was in 2008. They created a subsidiary of their big company to get $24 million in loans from the federal program.
Oh my gosh.
From the Term Asset-Backed Securities Loan Facility, TALF, was designed to help bail out banks and auto lenders hit by the crisis. They weren't hit by the crisis. They just went in, just like Joe's brother, who suddenly could build houses, and he can't build houses. He was given a contract to build 100 homes in Iraq. Never built a home in a day in his life. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Within months, Rosemont had secured a total of $130 million from the program. Some of the government cash was then funneled into an investment fund or incorporated in the Cayman Islands. Can we, this here alone we're done with.
But this isn't stuff that came out in the emails.
Remember, no, it's not. This is just
stuff
known.
Everybody already knows.
Right. But the reporters, my prayer has been, God, please I'm like, turn or burn. Please let reporters report these things, because I'm not ABC. I'm not NBC. I'm praying for people to have come to Jesus moments. And they get saved and they start to tell the truth. And they start to report what is already known. Right. That's what I'm asking. Really.
These people don't even have to dig it up.
No. So remember, Cayman Islands is evading taxes. Okay? The move actually raised some ethical flags with government watchdogs who suspected the bailout cash was used to benefit a well-connected insider. Other records reveal that another subsidiary created years later, Rosemont Realty, touted to its investors that board advisor Hunter was politically connected.
Okay.
Don't worry, guys. Bring in your investments. We're connected.
Oh my gosh.
It highlighted in a company prospect that he was the son of Vice President Biden. So then we have Adura Global in 2009-2012. On his resume, Hunter also lists himself as founder of yet another investment firm. But Adura's articles and corporations show it was actually set up by a major Biden donor, Jeffrey Cooper, who put Hunter on his board.
Oh, dear.
Here's the thing. As son of the VP, he's like, I'm just going to put you on the board. Like, I kind of know a little bit how this works because, like, my dad and my grandpa were in a company and like, it's nepotism. I'll put you on the board. I'll put you here. I'll put you here. But, like, the problem is with Joe Biden...
Our family actually did work, though, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The problem with Joe Biden is that his company is the U.S. government.
I know.
Okay, that's why I've been pointing out, I realize that wealthy people get their kids...
No, that's not the point, though. It's not, if it was just all business, that'd be one thing. And if it was just all government, it would be another thing. If he was like, here, I'm going to train you up. You're going to clerk for this person, and then you're going to raise up, and then you're going to run for Congress, and you're going to run for Senate, and then, that's different. Yeah. But you can't mix money,
the business
and the
politics.
lobbying.
Yeah. So we've got a self-described friend of the Biden family. Cooper also happened to run one of the largest asbestos litigation firms in the country, Simpsons Cooper, all those commercials out there, and had courted Biden to make it easier to file asbestos lawsuits by defeating tort reforms. As a leader on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Biden had blocked reform of asbestos litigation every time bills reached the Senate floor. However, Cooper's law firm, which directly lobbied the Delaware senator's office to kill such bills, donated more than $200,000 to Biden's campaigns over the years, as well as his Unite Our States Pact. In fact, Simons Cooper was one of Biden's biggest donors during his failed 2007-2008 run for president, pumping $53,000 to his campaign. The firm also put $1 million in investment capital to help his son buy out the Paradigm Hedge Fund as part of an arrangement brokered by another Biden family friend, Lotito. Okay. Lotito. Now we have Boise Schellner Flexner. Okay, in 2009-2016, when Joe Biden became VP, Hunter landed a high-paying no-show job at the New York-based law firm, a Democrat shop long tied to the Clintons.
Oh dear.
Another major Biden donor.
And he was there the whole time that Biden was in office, and that is not counting all of these other dealings that we just told you less than a half hour ago.
I know. So he gave the title of counsel. Boyce Schiller brought Hunter on board in 2009 after the Bidens hired the firm to defend Hunter against charges he defrauded partners in the Paradigm investment venture. So Boyce Schiller managed to get the case dismissed. So, hey, not your fault.
We know about lawyers named Schiller.
So, in 2014, a corrupt Ukrainian oligarch who was under investigation and looking to repair his reputation to attract Western investors started sending large payments to Boyce to support Hunter for unspecified work. So here's the connection to the Ukraine. Okay, so Hunter, his little paradigm thing goes bust. This other guy hires him of counsel, gives him a wage. And then this corrupt oligarch who has been working with this boys, Schiller, says, I'm going to start sending large payments to boys to support Hunter for unspecified work. Okay? It's unclear what Hunter did for this oligarch who ran Burisma. But $283,000 showed up at the same time his father was tapped by Obama to play the central role in U.S. energy policy in the Ukraine. The firm pumped more than $50,000 into Biden's campaign. So now we have BHR from 2013 to 2019. After Obama named Biden his point man for China, Rosemont Seneca set up a joint venture worth $1 billion with the Bank of China called BHR, and Hunter was named vice chairman and director of the new concern. Following in the shadow of his father's political trajectory, Hunter's new venture won the first of its kind investment deal with the Chinese government at the same time Biden was jetting to Beijing to meet with top communist leaders. Secret Service records reveal Hunter flew on Michelle's favorite line here, Air Force Two with his father while brokering the December 2013 deal. He arranged for one of his Chinese partners to shake hands with the VP. BHR was registered 12 days later. Beijing okayed a business license shortly after. No one else had such an arrangement in China, says Peter Schweitzer. Hunter resigned from the board of the Beijing-backed equity firm earlier this year as his father faces growing criticism on the campaign trail over what critics call a glaring conflict of interest. He did not, however, divest his 10% equity stake in the Chinese fund, which is estimated to be worth tens of millions of dollars. So it's coming in constantly, right? So, and then in
10%?
Yeah, 10%. So then in 2013, there was the Navy. 2014 and 2015, we had Burisma Holdings, and we really covered that as much as we could. So Hunter Biden had no experience in any of these things, and he led a very troubled life. And we'll see where this goes from here.
That was a really, really long article, but worth digging into.
To who he is. Now, that was the pop one. I want to play for you. Now, all that we're covering, the Democrats know this is this bad. And so when the New York Post, they didn't even really know.
Who was it that came out and said it's as serious as like 4 heart attacks and a stroke or something?
That's the real, I can never remember his name. Not Louis Gohmert, the other guy.
It's serious.
Serious as 4 heart attacks and a heart attacks and heart attacks and a stroke.
Kennedy?
No. Yeah, Kennedy. I think his name's Kennedy. Yeah. So I'm gonna play this for you from The Blaze and Glenn Beck, and talking about why big tech, the bigger story, not the bigger story, but the coexisting story, is that big tech is in the pocket of the Democrats, hiding this stuff. Not just hiding it, but making sure that you and I can't share it, that we can't talk about it.
Election interference of the largest scale. It makes Russia look like a little tiny
If there
gnat.
was another P-gate, if there was another bombshell of Trump, do you think they would put you behind some sort of don't open this, it's dangerous wall?
Right. Oh, here.
They stole the election for him. Russia stole the election with Russia and slipped this election. Now, we're going to pin him down because
Hang on, the sound's gonna get there in a second. I hope it does anyway. There it goes.
In our 2016 election and literally stole the election.
No. Russia may have influenced our election in 2016, but they didn't steal it. Our votes counted back then.
Yep.
Trump won fair and square. We picked him, despite what the Democrats will have you believe. But in 2020, a new potential enemy has emerged. And if we don't stop them soon, our votes, the ones brave men and women throughout the entire history of our nation and our world have fought for, may cease to have any real power at all.
Here's how to steal an election.
In 2020, big tech is working overtime to influence the presidential election to go the way they want. And let's be frank.
We're pushing down the fake news, we're demoting it, and we are increasing the authoritative news and promoting it.
You mean authoritarian?
They don't want another 4 years of President Trump. Tonight, I will show you all the tools and techniques domestic tech companies use to manipulate the average American user and show you how to stop it.
So you can go Glenn Beck. He can show you how to stop it. So I'm not done here. I want to play this for you.
Oh, this is so good.
The Biden family is the most corrupt political family in American history. I can prove it. Joe Biden is terrified that you are about to hear the truth. I'm Donald Trump Jr. I'm the son of the President of the United States. I understand the pressure of being a prominent member of the First Family. Trust me, I've gone through it all. That's why I can say with absolute confidence that Joe Biden's son, Hunter, is one of the most unethical humans in political history. Let me say first that I'm not here to attack Hunter Biden on his personal issues. I don't want to talk about how Hunter Biden was discharged from the Navy Reserve for testing positive for cocaine. I won't do that.
But you kind of did.
I will not bring up Hunter Biden fathering a child with a sex worker at the same time he was dating his late brother's wife and then refusing to pay child support until a court ordered him to. The corruption in Hunter Biden extends beyond ethical concerns. It's potentially criminal. Don't just take my word for it. The U.S. Senate recently released an in-depth investigation into the Biden family corruption. You may not have heard about it because our media is actively trying to cover it up. Here's what they found. Hunter Biden leveraged his father's political power to sell out the United States of America to our enemies and enrich himself and the Biden family. Hunter Biden used Air Force Two to travel to China with his father for business meetings with top communist Chinese officials. Hunter founded and sat on the board of a private equity firm that raised $1.5 billion from the Chinese government via the state-owned Bank of China. Hunter was involved with communist Chinese nationalists who gave the Bidens millions in exchange for access to American companies that produced technology with our military. In 2014, Vice President Joe Biden took the lead on policy in the Ukraine. At the same time, Hunter Biden joined the board of a Ukrainian energy company where he made $83,000 a month. Around the same time that a Ukrainian prosecutor began an investigation into the levels of corruption at Hunter Biden's company, Joe Biden was threatening to withhold U.S. aid to Ukraine if that very prosecutor was not immediately fired from his job. The prosecutor was fired. In a speech to the Council on Foreign Relations, Joe Biden actually bragged about how he got that prosecutor fired by effectively blackmailing the Ukrainian government with taxpayer money.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money.
But Ukraine and China are just the beginning of the Biden family corruption. My father and I were famously investigated for Russia collusion. We of course did not collude with Russia and were fully exonerated. But do you know who was bought and paid for by the Kremlin? Hunter Biden. In 2014, Hunter Biden received a $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Buchdiera, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow, who also happened to be one of Vladimir Putin's closest associates. Horrifyingly, according to a report from the U.S. Senate, Hunter Biden paid off women from Russia and other Eastern European countries that are directly linked to prostitution and human trafficking rings. It's not just Hunter getting rich off of Joe Biden's connections. Joe Biden's brother, James Biden, launched a healthcare company, AmeriCorps, that was later raided by the FBI after he fraudulently transferred over $500,000 from the company into his own bank account. James Biden also joined Hillstone International to secure a contract to build 100,000 homes in Iraq. Minor details, he'd never built a home in his life before. Maybe this is why everyone in the Biden family seems to have gotten filthy rich off of Joe's public service. Joe and Jill Biden have an estimated net worth of over $9 million. Hunter Biden and Jim, do you know what the fees are on just an investment of $1.5 billion like the one they took from China? In a typical fund, there's a 2% fee structure and 20% of the profits. The 2% fee of $1.5 billion is $30 million a year from the Chinese government. Quite a bankroll for regular old Scranton Joe and his working class family. The dark and complex interlacings of corruption within the Biden family has now been exposed with this incriminating investigation by the United States Senate. Did the Bidens' financial entanglements impact U.S. foreign policy? Of course they did. But did they care? Of course not. That was the plan all along. The Bidens didn't care about putting American national security at risk with criminal conduct and threats of extortion. They cared about getting rich off their public office. Fortunately, Americans are waking up.
So that is a pretty intense indictment there towards
righteous indignation from, and he starts out the video by saying
Right.
what they tried to do, what they tried to accuse me and my father of doing, Joe and his son actually did.
So Twitter have come up with a couple different statements. One yesterday, one today, and the one yesterday, Glenn Greenwald says that look carefully at what Twitter is saying to justify censoring the Biden story. If applied consistently, it would mean that some of history's most consequential journalism, the Pentagon Papers, WikiLeaks, war logs, Snowden documents, Panama Papers, our Brazil archive would be banned. And we know that they would want them to be out there. This tweet this video I had showed was Majid Fadi says this is very serious allegations. And I dare say that they are definitely very serious allegations. I think that that's kind of it for our Biden segment.
So no, that's it on us covering the actual facts. Now,
Right.
I would like for our show, sometimes it's helpful to have some commentary.
Sure.
Because we talk about these things around our house all the time, but I think that sometimes we just end up covering a story instead of giving you our breakdown and take of it.
Okay.
And so we were kind of talking about what happens should Joe Biden have to step down. Okay, there's a couple of scenarios there.
He should. He definitely needs to. Like, after all of this, putting this together, I think did you want to sum this up at all, or?
Yeah, no, we were talking about, okay, so if Biden steps down, does Kamala Harris take over?
No one can answer me. Can you guys answer me this? I've asked
constitutionally.
I've asked this since they nominated Joe.
Right.
I said, what happens if he dies, gets sick, incapacitated, and he can't, or he has to step down? Okay.
Right.
Do they go to Bernie?
Because he has the most delegates,
Do
the
they
second most
put
delegates.
off the election?
And they can't. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to, too. I feel like they are going to try, because of this, to say, well, we have to postpone the election. But I don't think that legally, why wouldn't they? They don't have a chance. The only thing that they can do is postpone it.
But would they run new primaries?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that these people, they have lost everything. It's over. There's no play for them left. Okay? So we were in the car yesterday, and I said to Leah, I said, Joe's only play left.
Yeah.
And they are going to be pushing him to do this. I guarantee you that they will be pushing Joe to do this. Leah thinks he won't. He will have to disavow his son, Hunter. He will have to come out, and he will have to say, this is his only shot left. Mm-hmm. His only shot left. And they know it. Joe, you're going to have to come out and say, I'm sorry, my son needs to be investigated. These are very serious allegations. I had no idea that this was going on, because it's without argument that these are facts. They are real. Hunter Biden is going to go to jail. You hear it here at Resistance Chicks. This stuff can't have come out without someday, at some point, sometime, the dude is going to jail. Okay? This is incriminating evidence that has come out against him, on top of already incriminating evidence that was well known that people just passed by because his dad was vice president at one point.
Yeah.
Okay? Leah said to me, she goes, yeah, but Michelle, Joe can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe cannot disavow his son, Hunter.
He has this Godfather type.
He's going to protect his son no matter what. And so if he doesn't disavow Joe, so many people have said to me, Hunter. So many people have said to me, Michelle, I'm so worried about the fraud. I'm so worried there with the election and there's voter fraud. And yeah, it's a real thing and it is a big deal. Okay. But you cannot beat a dead horse across the finish line. Joe Biden's campaign is a dead horse. And I thought it was so significant that evil Democrat that recently, just this year, in the name of police brutality, rode that horse and whipped it until it died, right? And I feel like that's Joe Biden's campaign. Yeah. They're trying to ride that horse so hard, and they have whipped it, and they have beat it, and it's dead. And it will not get across the finish line.
So I believe this is my clip on Cruz talking about how he wants to investigate the tech companies for censoring the story.
What's going on at Google, though, we know that there is a real conversation taking place in government about whether or not these social media companies will be forced to give up their protection and be able to get sued. Now we learn from a social media researcher who reports Google may be, quote, shifting its power to flip the Senate in the upcoming election. This report notes that if you type in the phrase flip the, Google's autocomplete will list the word Senate several times, Senator. Now, there's a lot of expectation about this election on the presidential side. I want to get your take on the Senate because it looks like Google is working against you and your colleagues in the Republican Party. They want to flip the Senate to the Democrat majority.
Look, big tech has gotten really bad with censorship, manipulation, open political bias. Of all the tech players, Google is by far the worst. Google is naked and brazen. The report you referenced, I'm not sure who authored it. It sounds like it may well have been Dr. Robert Epstein. He's the leading researcher in this field, and I say that because Dr. Epstein testified in a hearing that I chaired in the Senate Constitution Subcommittee, the Judiciary Committee, that where he testified that in 2016 he did empirical research on Google's search results and manipulated outcomes, and he found that Google had shifted over 2.6 million votes to Hillary Clinton through manipulated search outcomes. And what's interesting about Dr. Epstein, he's a respected academic. He was the editor of Psychology Today nationally. And he's not a Republican. He is a liberal Democrat. He voted for Hillary Clinton. He publicly supported Hillary Clinton, but he's outraged that Silicon Valley billionaires would manipulate democracy to this extent. He also testified that if they continue doing what they do and double down in 2020, they could shift as many as 10 million votes to the Democrats. I think that's what Google is doing. They are furious that they allowed Trump to win 4 years ago, and big tech is trying to silence any voice of dissent. And when it comes to the Senate, listen, I'm leading the fight to hold Google accountable. There are others who are also engaged, and big tech is a monopoly. I think they are also brazenly violating the antitrust laws. I've been urging the administration to use the antitrust laws to go after big tech for 4 years. They're finally moving to do so, but it is dangerous. It's the biggest threat to free speech we've got in the country.
So the 230s, we've been waiting and we've been biding our time. And as I was listening to Ted Cruz, I had a lot of things going on in my mind. Love Josh Hawley. And that is, when they started to censor our channel, and it was really heartbreaking. Not because they shut us off monetarily, but because we felt like we were called by God to get a message out, to tell the truth to people, and they were stopping us and gagging us from doing that.
And it wasn't even that people weren't listening. I mean, I could handle it if
you didn't like what we said.
If you went past the buffet
and you don't like what we're serving up,
and you don't like what it tastes like, but. And I was just telling this to a friend of ours.
For them to take us off of the buffet.
Exactly.
It took us off the buffet.
Yeah, I was telling a friend of ours, in 2017, we thought maybe we'd just become professional YouTubers, and it was looking like it would go that way, and our videos would get, tons of views, and you guys talk about this. You guys purposely try to come here. Now, recently, we've had some upticks. We've been able to break through some of the censorship, and we've gotten a few new subscribers here and there.
But they keep taking them from us.
But then they take them, and you got to make sure that you're subscribed.
I don't remember what the latest thing was. We gained like 300 or 400 subscribers. We're down to like 200 or 300 less than that now.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous. I can't even less than we gained those however many it was, and then we went to here, and now we're down here.
Wow.
They just but my point.
And how can you go back to remember? And here's the thing: once you start on the channel at Max Faith 3, how can you remember? We are the Resistance Chicks. We started the Resistance channel. The reason we do it live on Max Faith 3 is because we started that channel first, and the way the YouTube algorithm worked was that these videos went out on the higher.
Right. But what we've been saying for the past 2.5 years since they started censoring us, which was pretty much immediately, you know what? God has a reason for it. And I have this feeling in my gut that we are on the edge and the precipice of a breakthrough in which these big tech companies, these big monopolies, remember the oil monopolies were broken up? The big tech monopolies they're going to be, it's not just like the oil monopoly being broken up. It's going to be shattered what happens because they're going to be exposed as the man behind the curtain. They've been trying to make us believe that it's all a fair, level playing field and no one is pulling levers and manipulating behind the scenes. And now we see that they are doing it for their own purposes. Yeah. They have hijacked the internet.
Yeah, so I want you to listen.
This is good news. We're right there on the edge, guys. Yeah. Hold on. Hold the line.
Amen to that. Okay, so I want you guys to listen real closely to Josh Hawley's questioning here.
Tell him the timing on this.
The day of. This was Wednesday.
No. While literally he had no idea that this Hunter stuff. Oh, he did?
I think he did.
Okay. He must have heard going into
various
this.
Allegations about foreign influence. Since he asked you about it, and since he asked about foreign influence in government, I think it's only fair that I ask whether, hypothetically speaking, just hypothetically, if there were, let's say, a vice president of the United States who hypothetically had an adult son, who hypothetically worked for a foreign oligarch, who then sold access to his father, the vice president, and his father then intervened in a case to make sure that oligarch wasn't prosecuted, hypothetically, would that constitute the kind of foreign corruption that the Constitution's concerned about?
I can't answer hypotheticals.
Well, I thought you might say that, and I'm glad you don't and won't, because who knows, that case may come before you. But I think it's you don't and won't, because who knows, that case may come before you. But I think
who knows, that case might come before you.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. But do you see? Let's just side note here.
She didn't even smirk.
She didn't. I could not have. You know me. Y'all know me.
You would have burst out laughing.
I would have had I would have been. This would have been me. Like, I could not have held it in, okay? But she didn't, man. That girl is, like, steel.
All right.
Are we going to cover any of that today?
I want to play, no, not really, the Bayer.
Okay, then let's stick with it real quick. The Senate Judiciary Hearing Committee hearings went off without a hitch. The Democrats were neutered. I don't know what was wrong with them. They didn't attack. They were, like, gumming it, like, I'm going to get you, and we're coming back. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna bite her. I'm gonna bite her mouth teeth. Like they didn't go after her. They were like little like I don't even know. Okay, they were being we're so glad you're here, and some of them came out with a little bit of fire, but it was literally like
it was more like sparklers.
I'm like, what do you got? So that's kind of like what's going on there. Why are they not going out hard after her? I don't know. Okay, but she was so composed. Mm-hmm. Her mannerisms, she stuck with the law. I will stick to the law. I mean, I will not answer. I can't comment. Not in the way of I can't comment, but like I can't, because if a case comes before me, I can't give you my opinion. Mm-hmm. Okay? She was cool, calm, collected, composed, real, relatable, just even keeled. Man, it was so good. It was refreshing. To the point where you're like, what's wrong with the Democrats? Why are they being nice to her? We're so glad you're here. I love watching your family. They never said that to Brett Kavanaugh.
That's true. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, so there were 2 town halls last night. If you watched, Trump had to debate Savannah Guthrie from NBC.
Had a debate.
And
funny.
Joe Biden got little softballs and, you know, patted on the head and said that you're awesome.
Right.
So he's asked this question about transgender children. And I want you to hear his answer.
The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, you know, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. There should be zero discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. And, I mean, I think it's up to now 17. Don't hold me to that number, but it's higher now.
Yeah.
And that's just this year. And so I promise you, there is no reason to suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, one or two, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None. Zero.
So I don't even know where to begin with this, but
this is my first time hearing
remember when Amy Coney Barrett was actually slammed for saying sexual preference.
Right.
And Webster's dictionary actually changed it in real time. Because
online,
because Loco Ono, whatever her name is, Maggie Hono, whatever, Hirono from Hawaii, and Spartacus came out and said how disrespectful that was to the LGBT community that you could prefer asexuality,
right?
And then Joe Biden comes out here and says, "Hey,
if you just decide you wake up
and it'd be easier for me to be a different gender,
this is what I want to be," and then,
but he says it in a weird way. If you just wake up one day and decide it would be easier to be a different gender,
right? Like, not if you wake up one day to the realization that you are not,
that you're in the wrong body.
Yeah, like it's so.
And then black women of color are being killed. How does he make that? So here you have a guy who's okay to give puberty blockers to 8 and 10-year-olds. He also said, Joe Biden said that Joe Biden says cops should just shoot people in the leg rather than, he says, direct quote, we shouldn't be defunding cops. Oh, wait, sorry. There's a couple things he said about cops. We shouldn't be defunding cops. We should be mandating the things that we should be doing within police departments.
But we already do that.
And then he said, you should shoot them in the leg.
Because it's so easy in the middle of a situation. That's, okay, number one is actually you don't shoot to maim, because if someone has a weapon and they are trying to kill you, you can't just shoot to maim because they could still shoot you.
So I'm going to play you a little clip of a police officer body cam at the end of this. It's all one thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
De-escalate. So instead of anybody coming at you, the first thing you do is shoot to kill, you shoot them in the leg. There's ways you have to do more background checks in terms of whether or not the person coming in passes certain psychological tests.
He's still walking at us with a knife, not following commands. The knife down, please! No! Put it out! Shots fired, Central, shots fired! Put it on! Hands on your back! Ah, no! Get on the ground! No! Get on the ground, man! Tase him! No! Ah!
It's after he's been shot. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what this clip does not have is that specific scenario is an excruciating, long, drawn out. If you guys have never seen that footage, where that police officer that's screaming no does everything that he possibly can to talk this guy down. Please do not come at me. Do not do this. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to shoot you. Just don't do it. No, please don't do it. Don't come at me, man. And this kid just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming, and he's pleading with this assailant to not force him to shoot him. Mm-hmm. Okay? And what you see in that clip is, he probably needs to go out. Yeah. Finish my sentence. What you see in
that clip is that there is no just shooting them in the leg. If you need to shoot someone, That's why tasers were created or implemented. Because shooting someone in the leg doesn't
incapacitate them,
especially if somebody has a
adrenaline.
Gun who did they have a gun themselves?
Right.
You're gonna shoot
That
in the
kid
leg?
or man or whatever, the assailant, got up after being shot at point blank
5 or 6 times. Yeah.
You can't just shoot him in the leg. You don't have time. He shot him. The kid or assailant had time to get up and got close enough to the other cop because the other cop wouldn't pull the trigger.
I know.
That one cop saved his life.
I know.
And if that had been a black person, it would have been the cop's fault.
I know.
They would have blamed him. It's all your fault.
I know.
It's your fault because you're white and that antagonizes the person or something. Like, you do not shoot in the leg to maim. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and last night the questions were not fair. And 2 of the questioners at the ABC town hall were featuring Democratic presidential candidate candidate Joe Biden had ties to high-profile Democrats, including one questioner who previously worked as a speechwriter for Obama.
Yeah.
Supposedly undecided at this.
Oh my gosh, they make stuff up. They're all liars.
Yeah, and repeatedly asked to whether he would pack the court.
But how about that question of expanding the court? Here's what you said exactly 1 year ago tonight at a Democratic debate. You said, I would not get into court packing. I would not pack the court. That's not what you're saying now. Is the nomination of Judge Barrett reason enough to rethink your position?
What is the nomination? What I wanted to do, George, if I had answered the question directly, then all the focus would be on what's Biden going to do if he wins, instead of on, is it appropriate what is going on now? And it should stay. This is the thing that the president loves to do. Always take our eye off the ball. What's at stake? One of the things Pete has suggested is, and there's a number of constitutional scholars have suggested as well, that there are at least 4 or 5 options that are available to determine whether or not you can change the way in which the court lifetime appointment takes place, consistent, arguably, with the Constitution. I have not been a fan of court packing because I think it just generates what will happen. Whoever wins, it just keeps moving in a way that is inconsistent with what is going to be manageable.
So you're still not a fan?
Well, I'm not a fan. I then say it depends on how this turns out. Not how he wins, but how it's handled. How it's handled. But
not
there's
how
a number
he
of things that are going to be coming up.
Win.
And there's going to be a lot of discussion about other alternatives as well.
What does that mean, how it's handled? How will that determine?
Well, for example, there's actually real live debate on the floor. If people are really going to be able to have a time to go through this, I don't know anybody who's gone on the floor and that's been a controversial justice in terms of fundamentally altering the makeup of the court that's gone through in a day kind of thing. I mean, it depends on how much they rush this. And you think about it, George. Here you got a lot of people not being able to pay their mortgage, not being able to put food on the table, not being able to keep their business open, not being able to do anything to deal with what's going on in terms of the economy as a consequence of COVID. And they have no time to deal with that, but they have time to rush this through.
Well, right now it looks like they're going to have a vote around Halloween. So if they vote on it before the election, you are open to expanding the court?
I'm open to considering what happens from that point on.
You said so many times during the campaign, all through the course of your career, it's important to level with
If I say, no matter what answer I gave you, if I say it, that's the headline tomorrow. It won't be about what's going on now, the improper way they're proceeding.
But don't voters have a right to know where you stand?
They do have a right to know where they stand, and they'll have a right to know where I stand before they vote.
So you'll come out with a clear position before Election Day?
Yes, depending on how they handle this. But look, what you should do is you got to make sure you vote. And vote for a senator who, in fact, reflects your general view on constitutional interpretation. And vote for a president who is more in line with you. And if you oppose the position that I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Vote for a Republican who shares that view. But that's your opportunity to get involved in lifetime.
So he does these word salads where you never know what he's saying.
Because I love that that's where Joe has reached in his 78 years, 77, 78, 74, 78, whatever he is. I know, call me Joe, I don't know how old he is. I think he's 78. in all of his 78 years.
Sorry.
That's all right. We'll wait. It's
I
right
can't
there.
make her stop. Oh, I want it. Let me just mute this until I can figure out what's going on. Go ahead.
Okay. You can't mute him. So my point is, he is trying to play the vote your conscience card, okay? But that's not how politics is played. That's not how you win an election. No one will vote for the mamsy-pamsy, just vote your conscience thing. Politics is not played that way, okay? It's when I become president, when I am elected. Here's why you should vote for me, right? And if Joe is saying that's what a pastor should say, that's maybe what you should say to your neighbor, okay, to be kind, but it is not what a presidential candidate does. So that goes to show his looniness.
Yeah, he's been saying that a while. Now, this lady behind Trump, the black lady...
she was so entertaining to watch.
She was nodding. She gave him a thumbs up. And the left feels like it was some sort of conspiracy that she got to be behind Trump, that they've doxed her and made her life miserable.
No. Oh, my gosh.
And she's known as the nodding lady now.
I love this for NBC though, because NBC is going to take heat for it, and you know what? Let them. But the whole time, what Leah's referring to is during Trump's town hall last night, she was back there, and when Trump would say stuff, she was, and it would have been fine if it was a white dude, okay, back there, but the fact that it was a black woman.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that was just
the woman is nodding at things before he's even finished his thought. It's a psychological trick, and I cannot believe no producer, no camera person, no one is stopping it. It's a psychological trick. I can't stop being distracted by this woman who keeps nodding in approval.
Good. That's the Holy Spirit. I don't know if anybody's in the kitchen. I got
all right, so 73% of Biden's town hall questions were from Democrats.
Somebody got it.
20% of Trump's were from Republicans.
Wow.
And they say that Trump did really good, by the way.
He did. We watched it.
It was rough because he was debating Savannah Guthrie.
He was debating Savannah Guthrie. Now,
but it's good for Trump because people could see that, especially, we didn't watch the beginning, but I guess in the beginning, all she did was grill him. Town halls are supposed to be people coming up,
right,
asking questions. There is no real moderator.
Right.
Okay? The moderator is there to just make sure that people don't go crazy harassing the candidate. They're not supposed to pose questions, really. It's a town hall.
Well, I don't know. I felt like Stephanopoulos did that a little bit with Biden, at least with that court packing clip.
Yeah.
Well, but it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Either way. Okay?
I
either way. My biggest beef with Trump when he speaks off script is that Trump, his brain does big picture so well. So well. And I can't fault him because I'm like this too. I'm not a detailed, factual, remember the name and remember the numbers and remember how all the inner workings are. It's just, give me all of that. Give me all the facts. I will assimilate it and come up with a conclusion that makes my stance inside of me. I can comprehend. It's almost like being able to understand a language but not being able to speak it.
Yeah.
So people come to Trump and they give him so much stuff. You don't know how much stuff is being put at Trump, right? So then when he's asked these questions and he knows that he's right, but he doesn't have the details to explain it back. And that's why he uses giant adjectives of it's going to be great, or it's the worst thing that has ever happened, or it's so bad. And we're like, but why is it great? Why is it so bad? So I just wish that Trump had that, but he doesn't, but he makes up for it in he was a charmer. The clip you're not going to play, which was so adorable. This lady comes out.
That smile. You're so handsome.
She's like, you're so handsome. And he was just like grinning from ear to ear.
All right, now there's other news in the world. I know I'm gonna end with something stupid, but you guys heard of the Nexum cult, however you spell it?
Yeah.
There's details
Hollywood.
and happening in this sex cult thing. Indiana Oxenberg is an actress. Her daughter, Catherine Oxenberg's daughter, India, recalls how Smallville star Allison Mack groomed her for this sex cult. So you've got a documentary that's coming out on it.
Right.
And this 29-year-old is coming forward with her story in the upcoming Starz 4-part docuseries, Seduced Inside the Nexum Cult. In 2015, India was recruited by Allison Mack, who was 38 at the time, to join Nexum's Master Slave Sorority. It sounds impossible, it's true. Also known as DOS. It was there when Mac became India's master. One of my first commands from Allison was to seduce Keith. It's this really weird thing, but I am going to cover it because I think it kind of shows you what happens in Hollywood and how this is. I believe it's not. It's very widespread.
Okay, but also in keeping with politics, because the reason why these big actors come out in support of the Democrat Party, because evil people know other evil people, and we keep your secrets and you keep our secrets. I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
India, my daughter, was at the threshold of starting a business, and I thought, okay, this is going to give her a leg up. And I just innocently took her to an intro, and what I didn't realize at that point is that a lot of these dangerous cults have these consumer-facing programs, businesses that are actually legitimate, and they're offering benefits, or else they would never be able to recruit. So it seemed completely benign, and then I wasn't that interested after the intro, and she was, and she wanted to do it with me, and I thought, okay, my 19-year-old wants to spend 5 days with her mom, I'll suspend whatever, whatever my judgment was around the program. And then a lot of the rituals during the first 5-day class were weird. But I have done, I consider myself to be an open-minded person. And I have done a lot of wacky things, but wacky doesn't always mean dangerous. And if I had been better informed, I would have known that those things, those rituals that I was having sort of a gut reaction to, that I went, oh, this is kind of weird. I would have known that those were actually a very coordinated, strategic system of indoctrination.
Turn it off.
But if you don't know what to look for, you don't know what the warning signs are. When we walked in the room, they said, take your shoes off. I thought, okay, they likened it to a dojo. So if you're walking into a martial arts dojo, take your shoes off out of respect. Then the coaches were wearing sashes, which they again likened to, being a black belt or a brown belt in martial arts. So I'm like, okay, weird, but not like criminal. Then they had this mission statement that we would have to repeat every day, which seemed a little bit weird, the languaging of it. And at the end of the mission statement, we would supposedly have to pledge to recruit as many people as possible. Well, I refused to say the mission statement. I thought, I paid a lot of money for this class. I am not indebted to recruit one single person. And then what else did they do? They introduced what's called loaded language in cult vocabulary, which is jargon. So very similar to Scientology, where they have terms like
Black Lives Matter.
So
say her name.
You're being taught to speak in a language that only makes sense to the people on the inside. And the other thing is, they tricked us into signing an NDA. So what that meant was that what they said is that their material was proprietary, and we were not allowed to talk about anything that we learned to anybody on the outside.
What are you doing, Sailor?
What I was introduced to was a program called Executive Success Programs, which is one of the programs offered underneath the umbrella called NXIVM. Then what they did is Keith Raniere introduced this subgroup, which was supposed to be a female empowerment group. And it was based on a slave-master arrangement. And only the first-tier slaves, of which I think there were no more than 7 to 12, were actually told that he was at the head of it. He was their master. The other women, his slaves who recruited, were told that it was women, a women-only group. They had to give damaging collateral in order to gain admission to this group. So they weren't told about anything, they weren't told any details at all. And you ask, well, why would anybody do this? But who was recruiting them were their trusted superiors in NXIVM. So these were women they had developed friendships with that they never would have imagined would have asked them to participate in anything that would be detrimental or damaging. So once they'd given this damaging collateral, then they were told that they had to give a lifetime vow of obedience. And then some of them were put on these strict diets that were 500 to 800 calories a day because Keith had a specific body type that he was attracted to, and he wanted women to be very thin. So they were on starvation diets. And then a lot of them were given an assignment to have sex with him. And they didn't want to, but they felt obligated to because they felt like if they said no to their masters, then they were going to release this collateral. So at so many levels, this was just so wrong. And then ultimately, the moment that I completely lost my mind is when I found out that they were branding the women with his initials on their pubic area. That's not her experience, and what she shared with me doesn't seem like that was her experience at all. So I'm going to say no. I don't think so, no. She is such a brilliant...
So you can listen to, I guess, herself speak.
My name is India. I was in a cult for 7 years. When I was a child, I felt very loved, but I grew up looking for a more purposeful life. NXIVM was a program to make people's lives better.
I found a real deep sense of community. I felt like I was in the right place.
So how did we all end up in the clutches of a monster?
Keith Raniere is the most horrific cult leader.
He was someone that I really trusted.
I can't tell you how much guilt I feel. My daughter.
I had been in the presence of so much evil. I had to ask permission to eat.
There's control of sleep.
Demeaning sexual acts.
It kept getting more extreme.
All over the globe. We don't know how many victims there could be.
The cruelty, it's beyond the pale.
I didn't want to be saved.
I had no idea the worst was about to happen.
So it's weird that they would be exposing themselves like this because it's obviously on Stars. But
I think that they think that somehow, and this is my opinion, when people that are guilty of something, like all of Hollywood, right? If they can
kind of push it on just one,
then it's not us,
right?
It's just that thing,
like Epstein.
Yeah, that's what they do. They literally, it's what
projection. It's called projection.
Not just projection, but they're the fall guy.
Yeah, the fall guy.
Just
so
like
NXIVM's the fall guy, and
NXIVM is the fall guy,
and Epstein was a fall guy,
right?
And Weinstein they were fall guys.
Yeah.
Because it's a wide, pervasive thing.
So then, like, Brad Pitt can come out and say, well, I didn't really know, you know, and I'm so upset.
Right.
You know, that happened.
So upset.
Yeah. So, anyway. That was an excellent show. Bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. I want you guys to be excited. I was talking to a very dear friend of ours today, and I'm like, I haven't been this excited about an election in my entire life. I cannot wait to go and vote for our president. I can't wait for the results. I can't wait for more stuff. I wake up every day like, what's going to happen today? What's coming out? You ought to see this girl, okay? She'll be just like randomly, because all day long, whatever she's doing, she could be shoveling manure or walking dogs or whatever. She doesn't stop, and she's still checking her Twitter, shoveling manure. And oh my gosh, Michelle, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this.
It's like, I kind of
laying in bed at night, like, getting like 4 hours of sleep, Michelle. You're not going to believe this. Like,
I kind of feel like a gold miner who's gone to Alaska, and we're in the crunch time, and we're at this place where people don't know who Joe Biden is. They don't know who Harris is. They don't know, and we are experiencing a level of unmasking. So I feel like it's almost my duty to get it out there and then get it over and done.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. But right now, I think we're on the precipice of a great awakening. And so it goes along with the revelation. I think that the Jesus kingdom can come. And the one thing I posted on my Facebook today was that I Christians, God love you, but you are really bad at politics.
Right.
And our founding fathers were very good at them. And if our founding fathers had acted like Christians today, who I see so many of them, not you, obviously, because you found us and you're here and you're listening, you're at the end of a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
So you guys are like the remnant. So thank you for that. You guys are the essence of what we need in this world. And I praise God for you, because if it wasn't for people like you who are interested in the truth, then we would be sunk.
Yeah.
But because you are here, because you do care, and you do send us links, and you do share them with your family, your friends, and you do make these conversations, and you do reach out, you're going to be rewarded, because God rewards people who tell the truth. But for 100 years, Christians have decided, because of the Scofield Reference Bible, that the world getting worse and worse was a good thing. And so, we're just not going to fight. And we're just going to sit back and we're going to be polite. So God gave us Donald Trump, because his number one thing is he's not the polite Christian-y person who's going to be like, well, if this bad thing happens, then that just means it's good.
Right.
Or if this person is like really cruel, we're just going to keep praying and God loves them and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's like, no, if they're wicked, they're wicked. If they're evil, they're evil. If they're liars, they're liars. Okay? And that's why they hate him, and that's why we need him.
Right.
To learn, sometimes you need the ex-gang member to teach you how to fight. Sometimes you need the street fighter to teach you how to fight. And we can apply those principles of how to fight to Christian principles and start our own Christian fight club, okay, where we actually take down the enemy. Because I don't know if Donald Trump does this or not, but I take it to God's fight machine, God's fight club, or whatever you want to call it. And if I'm going to post something online, I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to pray for it. I'm going to pray against it. I'm praying for reporters. I'm praying against false reporters. I'm praying for people's eyes to be opened, and I'm praying for boldness. I'm praying for people to have boldness. And I do see my Christian friends it's like they'll get so far and then they bow out.
Right.
And then they get so far, and like so many people have left Facebook that I can't even count, because they just I can't they are the ones touched by the truth. Mm-hmm. And because they don't know how to process the truth,
right,
they bow out because it's too painful to them.
Right.
Okay, so for Christians, this is what it means to take up your cross to follow Christ. Mm-hmm. Okay? This is what it means to turn the other cheek and to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, they're going to hit you. Yeah, they're going to punch you. Okay? But it's part of being a Christian. And those people don't want that part of being a Christian. I don't want that part. Right. I don't want the Jesus take up my cross part. I heard that somewhere along the line that Christians could just bow out of the public square or politics or whatever. But Jesus came to bring justice, and justice is had through good government. So our job is to not just pray, but to combine our prayers with actions and to be able to speak the truth. And I'm not saying argue with people, but speak the truth. And I think Facebook and these platforms that actually got so much out against Clinton, and Pizzagate was not the fake story that it's made out to be. I think it was a spin story.
Yeah.
But there is a there. Just like with Hunter Biden.
Right.
And it'll eventually come out. So we need to pray that it'll eventually come out. Okay?
Did you catch the name of that actress in the last video whose daughter's name was, I want to call her Stormy.
Patricia something.
What was her name?
Her name?
The
girl's name was India.
India.
Her girl's name was India.
I knew it was a weird name. And then she's an actress. Her mom is an actress.
Her mom is an actress.
And we don't know her name. You read it in the article, though.
Patricia something.
Okay. Yeah. One last thing. Barry's been asking me to read this, so I'm going to skim over this real quick. Nick Clegg, he's from the UK, was involved in Facebook's decision to hush up the story about Joe Biden's son that led to social media giant being branded the Democrats' PR team by Republicans.
So he's the vice president of global affairs and communications for Facebook, and
right.
He put the kibosh.
Former British Deputy Prime Minister Sir Nick Clegg was involved in Facebook's decision to reduce the distribution of a New York Post. And we know about the Joe Biden story that we covered. So the very fact that it says the social media firm is accused of acting as Joe Biden's PR team, which is absolutely...
Facebook is.
What did I say?
The social media firm. I'm just saying this. Facebook is acting as Joe Biden's PR team.
Right.
And Nick Clegg was behind. He's been hired by Facebook.
This is Nick Clegg right there. I don't know let me see if you can actually see that. Yep. So
it's worldwide.
It is. It's worldwide, this thing that is happening. So Periscope, if you're watching on Periscope, I'm sorry. We were buffering and I had to shut down everything, so I didn't see any Periscope comments today. I'm sorry. The Facebook comments weren't really coming through either. So I apologize. I wasn't able to read any of those. And I know a lot of people had comments in
Catherine
YouTube.
Oxenberg.
That was her name?
That's the mom's name.
The mom's name? Oh, thank you, Curious Man. And Secretarian. Very good. Good job, guys. You win a prize, which I don't have to give you. Speaking of prizes, we have a mail call. We were going to do it tonight. It's too late. And so we'll do it another time.
Sunday, hopefully.
Hopefully on Sunday.
Package came from the
do
UK.
have a package from the UK from Sean and Tracy. So we're going to sign off. We'll be back here again on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly roundup of world news, UK. We're going to be okay. I do have to give you a sneak preview of this. No deal.
What?
We are literally at the precipice. 95%. Bojo is like, that's it. No deal. No more talks. No nothing. No nothing. Ni nada.
Who told
we
you
don't
that?
want any. It's a BBC article. I got sent it by Barry. Horatio sent it to me. It's like, my gift back to Horatio was, I said I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic about this, but ... and I put, there's this Kermit the Frog like just going crazy, like yes thing that I sent that was so we'll have a little bit more news on that on Sunday. You will not want to miss Sunday's show. If we're going no deal, even Nigel Farage was like, he tweeted, he came out on Facebook and he's like, looks like we're going in the right direction. So I can't tell you exactly everything's going my way. I gotta tell, I wake up every day, I'm like, God, you are God alone. Only you can take down all the corrupt swamp creatures. I mean, I can't contain it. Go watch Tucker tonight. It was probably really good. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, look for the song about Nick Clegg. Okay, we could check that out. Looking forward to it. Curious Man says, go Boris, night ladies, and all. Seems like a good way to sign off. We love you. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
Please like, comment, and subscribe to all of our channels.
And Resistance Chicks. We have a P.O. box. Michelle's birthday, November 9th. You want to send her a nice little birthday card.
Cards are welcome.
107 Milford, Ohio, 45150.
If you send us letters, we will be reading them on air. We may just open your package randomly, and if it's got something personal in it, everybody on the earth is hearing it. Hunter Biden. So anyway, if Hunter sent us a letter, it would be read on air. Where is Hunter?
There's been quite a few.
Where is Hunter?
There's been quite a few we have not read on air.
Yeah, on purpose, because some people out there are cray-cray. Don't go cray-cray on me. We carry knives and other things. So, all right, you guys. That's it. That's it for me. That's it for us. Please pray for neighbor's loss of friend 36 hours ago. Oh, geez. Yeah, we'll definitely be praying for that. That's awful, Kelly. Can't tell you how excited I am. Wednesday nights this is the place to be. Revelation Red Pill Academy. Go to the playlist. Revelation Red Pill Academy on Mass Faith 3. You can find it on resistancechicks.com. You can find our podcast there. You do not want to miss this series. You will come out. You heard it here. When we finish that series, you submit to me in an email that you completed the series. I will personally send you a Revelation Red Pill Academy diploma from Resistance Chicks in the mail, and I will read your name on air if you finish the academy. And I'll just take your word for it, but you got to start at episode 1, and you got to stick with us to the end. Revelation Red Pill Academy, you will get a diploma. All right, so we love you. God loves you. God bless. Bye, guys.
It's cold, all alone. No place for